going out there? How's everybody doing? Welcome to SandCity Sports. Got to go around and check. See how we're doing. Right. IG good, positive. IG is good. All right. YouTube is good. Another big positive. Twitter is good. We're good on the Facebook. We cooking with some oil here, folks. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. We got some of that good mo. We're good across the board. Welcome. Welcome in Sand City Sports. Have to get the got to get the YouTube in order quickly. Make sure everything is set over there. So please don't hesitate to jump in. If you have anything as we're getting YouTube lined up like how it needs to be. Let's get our imagery right. In terms of the YouTube, I hope things are well on your end. I'm doing all right. I can't complain. Less than highly favored. Opportunity to do what I enjoy doing, discussing sports, current events, sharing community in this brave new world that we're living in. So no complaints on my end. All right, so that in. Again, folks, just lining up, just getting the YouTube straightened out, just getting the YouTube straightened out um, as we set sail here. Appreciate everybody. Appreciate your patience. Get these technical things squared away. Get the technical stuff squared away. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Two shakes of a lamb's tail. Let's get our YouTube in order. Yes, sir. I need to edit that. Oh, yeah. Down here. Switch that around. Save it. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Just double check on the YouTube to make sure that, yes, sir. All right, we're good across the board. How's everybody doing? We've said that. I've said that. I'm going to say it again. Greetings and salutations. Welcome into Sand City Sports. And we're going to get rocking and rolling here. Ooh, we still got I was checking in with the Odd Couple. Shout out to Rob and Kelvin doing what they do. All right. Just double check, and we're gonna, hey, you know what time it is for the regulars. Hey, to the business. What's going on? I'm your host, the artist, woman known as Andre. Hey, thank you so much for tuning in to SandCity Sports. Back again to bring you sports. Hey, you know what it is with the intro. If once is good, twice is nice. We got Patriots and Browns. Preseason. How do y'all feel about that? Let's dive right into this. You're watching it. I'm watching it. Brave new world that we are in. Amazon Prime preseason. Patriots. Browns. And, I mean, it's football. They got helmets. They got pads. They're up there. They're out there thudding it out. But this is Rudy Rudiger football, right, folks? We're not seeing the stars. We're not seeing the storylines. I thought we might see Shador tonight. I thought Shador might get an opportunity to go out there and shine. I mean, he's your backup. So we've seen enough of Shador to giving Dylan Gabriel the opportunity. I don't necessarily disagree with it, but it seems like this is Dylan Gabriel's audition for his next opportunity. I feel like Dylan Gabriel's got that ticket booked. He's going to be out of town. I got my starter. I got my backup. And now this is a battle of the backup's backup, so to speak. Right? Let's just making sure. Hold on. How we doing? We good? Everything is good. I see we here. We in the building, folks. Okay. YouTube is going on. I know you guys might be on the Amazon, but I know that you'll get here soon enough. Now let me see if I can. No. X that out. I'm trying to edit something real quick. Let me see if I can get a. Let's get my spelling right. Hold on. I can't tell people to hold on because we live, so that's not. It's not appropriate to tell people to hold on as I try to. Okay. I'm asking folks, did Cleveland make the right decision with Deshaun? That's where we begin. I know we're not seeing Deshaun or Shador tonight. We're not seeing either one of them. Makes sense not to put Deshaun out there as he's your starter. I don't necessarily agree with not letting Shador go out there and cook. As he's, since he's the second man up. But did Cleveland make the right decision starting Deshaun Watson? I'm conflicted on this because I want to go with the underdog, right? I want to say, hey, Deshaun, we understand that the sun has set on your career in Cleveland. Whether he's the starter or whether certainly if he was the backup, it's clear, folks. All right, that the Deshaun experiment in Cleveland is coming to an end. All right, and so heart wise, I'm saying let the young boy cook. We've known about Shador Sanders since he was in high school, son of Deion Sanders. Took his talents to Jackson State, had success there. Turned around and took his talents to University of Colorado, had success there. Some ups, some downs. He was running for his life. He didn't have an offensive line, as we see Deshaun being interviewed right now on the Amazon Prime. All right? So this is difficult for me. Heart-wise, I say, hey, go with the youngin'. Start fresh. It's established. Deshaun is looking for the warmth of other suns. By the way, shout out to that book, The Warmth of Other Suns, about the Great Migration. All right? Great migration from south to north, particularly by people of color, African Americans looking for a better life, more opportunities. This is my grandfather's generation. I told you about Herbie Derby. We got Herbie Derby Wednesdays here on SandCity Sports. Told you about my grandfather. All right, died at the age of 99 years, young, healthy for 98.5 years of his life. Got sick those last 6 months of his life before he passed on. But Herbie Derby still very much with me and with the family as we move forward, right? Member of that greatest generation, that World War II generation. Also, let me just hold on. Did just let my bro know. He reached out. I sent a text and then I didn't send. You ever have something to do and then you don't do it, right? I said I was gonna text him and then you know what I mean? Then I didn't do it. So let me just reach out, let him know because he reached out to me, and then also let him know that the program is live. He might not be able to jump on today, but he can certainly, because he's girl dad. Girl dad, I'm sorry. Okay, so The Warmth of Other Suns, that's a work of literature that I recommend, award-winning, about the Great Migration, looking for those opportunities, that greatest generation, my grandfather's generation, okay, born in rural Georgia, 1925, in the midst of the Great Depression, and then also at the height of the Jim Crow era, okay, and I think that I have problems, not even a smidgen. Blessed and highly favored in terms of the good fortune that I've had in my life. Everybody has ups and downs, right? We all have that, you know what I mean? So I'm not minimizing the struggles. I'm just saying, for me, being a history person, I put it in perspective. Nothing like what that greatest generation had to go through, right? The World War II generation. Okay. The boomers. Actually, my grandfather, a little bit before the boomers, because the boomers were the children of the greatest generation. What does this have to do with Deshaun Watson? Point of fact is, you know it, I know it, in terms of the Cleveland made the right decision with Deshaun, that his best days are ahead of him and elsewhere. Am I discounting what he can do this season? Yes, I am. Do you ever want to? You don't ever want to sleep on people. So let me. But what I'm saying, 10 toes down, Deshaun's best days are ahead of him. Now, he could go out here for these Cleveland Browns and cook. We haven't seen it. I, you, they, whatever pronouns you want to use. His preseason, to borrow, because I cite my sources, we cite our sources over here on SandCity Sports. You understand what I'm saying? We citing the sources. I'm not taking credit for if I don't, if you know what I mean? I ain't taking credit if credit is not due. But I'm going to use an adjective and I'm going to cite my sources. Right? Deshaun's preseason has been moribund. Sound effects in the building. All right, one more. Trying to step my game up here. All right, baby. And that's, of course, a Stephen A. Smith word. But I had to. It's good. It's a good word. But I got that from Stephen A. Smith. I cite my sources. Stephen A. He's doing his thing. One of the hardest working men in show business. You ever think about, if you got the dream job and like sometimes people, once we get what we want, we rest on our laurels. One thing you can't say about Stephen A. Smith, that man ain't resting. Like him, don't like him, agree, disagree. He don't rest. He got the dream job and he working that job. Oh yeah. You think about it, as we go through, I go through and, and I don't want to get up and do the work and do this and do that. But what if you had your dream job? Spike Lee talks about this. Spike Lee don't set no alarm clock. He can't wait to get to the studio when they're filming. Can't wait. Because he recognizes, right? He has a mindfulness that, yeah, I have a job. Yes, it's difficult. Every single level you go up, it's going to be difficult. You understand? But I could be out there working construction. I could be doing landscaping. Now, our construction workers and our landscapers out there, tremendous. They do amazing work. Shout out to SBM Mowing. One of the I put that up on Slice of Life. Landscaper that picks a property, or just an overrun property and does it for free. Transformations are unbelievable. So people that are doing landscaping and construction, that might be their love and joy that they infuse in it. But Spike Lee, he's a filmmaker. That's what he loves to do. Stephen A. Smith, he's a broadcaster, journalist. That's what he loves to do. And he works his doggone tail off in the midst of it. So moribund, which is Deshaun Watson's season. That's what his season has been, moribund. That's how we got on Stephen A. Smith. But also I think about Stephen A. Smith, and he's going back and forth with the National Association of Black Journalists, which it's hard to see, but I don't mind it. I don't mind the real being. Let's have the real. You understand? This sense, I want the real. You feel me? Okay. I want. You heard me? We got sound effects, right? I want the real. Don't give me that flimsy. Don't give me that wishy-washy, that flippity-floppity. Tell me how you really feel about your boy. You heard? Shout out to Black Rob. You heard me? Give me that real. Hey, coming home in half an hour. Fronting like they had the manpower. Like, what? Out here, I don't want to, I give you a little bit. Me and Facebook hit your boy with a shadow ban. So I don't even, am I still going? It's still live on Facebook. Appreciate you, Facebook. Facebook been shutting your boy down as of late. Hey, I see I got 2 people on Facebook. I appreciate you. Preseason, I appreciate my Facebook people. You know what I mean? Jump in the comments if you have something. I appreciate you tuning in with me, and I'm glad it's still going. I'm doing my little sound effects. Facebook is a little bit, so I appreciate you. Let me know if you have something, good, bad, or indifferent. We do the mi casa, su casa around here. Mi casa, su casa. So let me know how you feel, good, bad, or indifferent. I appreciate you on the Facebook. What's going on? Only a matter of time. I see my man. What's up, Chris? Salute in the chat. We talking about Hold up. Let's hold on. I'm not ready for my next sound effect. The Black Rob is still, but I wanted to put, a round of applause. Appreciate Chris coming through into the program. No, I need my hold on. Let me get my chat. So I gotta take the chat from the YouTube, and then we bring it over here. Salute, salute. Welcome in. We're talking about the concluding game here of the preseason. Talking about the concluding game of the preseason and the decisions that both of these teams made. The decisions that both of these teams made, most notably the Cleveland Browns, and the decision to start Deshaun Watson. So, Chris, jump in on that. But you know what it is. If you have other topics, you want to talk about college football, you want to talk about 25, 26, 27-year-olds playing college football and how that's, well, it is what it is. When I say it, I mean it. This is our conversation, my passion project, but our collective experience. So let me know how you feel. But we're starting with Deshaun. And shout out to Nightcap. You heard me? You heard me? We don't play a hate around. We congratulating around here. Shout out to Nightcap. Shout out to Unc, Ocho, ISO. They doing it big. Okay? They you know what I mean? They hit them spots in them low lows. Right? That Nightcap hit them low lows. And now they back up on top. You know what I mean? Salute to them and appreciate, you know what I mean? Hey, had to go through, they go through, and now they got it moving again, and hopefully to go through. You can't forget when you go through something, right? Because sometimes, you know, you got yourself in situations because you forgot where you came from. This is how I feel about MA. Yeah, MA's doing his thing. We're going to talk about the NBA power rankings. David Aldridge did a great job. We're going to talk about power rankings. So that's coming. That's coming. But shout out to Nightcap. What they're doing, the numbers. I ain't forgotten when they was low. They ain't forgotten when they was low. You ain't forgotten when they was low. And just an example of you put your head down, you keep your mouth shut, and you just grind, and you see what the results are. So I'm glad that they're doing what they're doing. It's quality. So, but Ocho was on this, that it was going to be Deshaun. I said Shador. Ocho said Deshaun's going to be the starter, follow the money. He was proven right. So shout out to Ocho on that. I feel like it should have been Shador. It's a clean slate. Let the young boy cook. It's good for business. People want to see Shador. He's marketable. And whether you like him, whether you don't like him, whether you back him, you know, it's like, you know, what do you do when you set a line? You want equal action on both sides. That's what the line is about. Not necessarily about where it's going to be, but we want 50% of y'all over here, 50%, and we're going to take our cut, and we're going to make money, and you guys, good luck to you. That's what the line is about. Those folks, right? So hold on. Is Shador there? No, Shador's not out there because Shador's two. I was like, who the heck? Cleveland got 4 quarterbacks. No, it's not Shador. Okay. Right? Deshaun. Excuse me. I got a little congestion. I had to get my Pop-Tart and my snack and Rudy before, but I'm good. I'm good. I'm rested. I'm ready to go. Best days are elsewhere. Go ahead. I would like to see him go out there and play well, and the Cleveland Browns be competitive, even though they were in the March for Arch, and you know they got rid of Myles Garrett. They made it clear we're tanking. This year is not what it's about. It's about getting Arch Manning to Cleveland to build for our future success, or one of these quarterbacks. That's what they're doing. They're clear about that, but they have a stout defense. You know, Chubb retires. Still had gas left in the tank, but he's worried about his long-term health. Respect to him. Barry Sanders made the same decision years ago. We only got 9 years of Barry Sanders. We only got 9 years of Jim Brown. It's amazing, you know, but they made the decision that was best for them, and so I tip my hat. But Cleveland, you know, they're just they're rebuilding, they're reloading. I mean, they're not bad, particularly defensively. But 2026 isn't the time for them. Respect is the wrong word. It's not that deep for me. It's not bad. I can understand how starting Deshaun makes sense in the midst of all of this, because you did have all this money invested in him. He is incentivized to go out there and ball because He's looking for his next opportunity, whatever that might be. And I think he's well aware that if this goes through, you know what I mean? If this collapses, he might not get another opportunity. So he's got plenty of incentive to put his best foot forward, even though he hasn't done that in the preseason. He's in his feelings about all these things that have nothing to do with football and these clear realities. Okay? You the man today, all right? Tomorrow, who knows? Who knows tomorrow? It's not promised, and you don't know. All right, and that's just in general, not to, fear mongering. It's just a basic premise. But relative to Deshaun, what that tomorrow might be is out of the NFL. Gone. That's what Deshaun's tomorrow very well could look like. And he knows that, which is why I'm in agreement with starting him to begin with, because it's now or never for him. If he wants to be in his feelings and, Cleveland don't like me, I don't like Cleveland, you know what I'm saying? We just going to cut our nose off to spite our face, right? When we get into these issues with people, with the precious time that we have in life, right? When you're older, you look back. Why did I even waste that time and that energy and that anger directed when I could have taken all that, right? When somebody insults you, when somebody slights you, when somebody disrespects you, when somebody overlooks you, they've just given you fuel. Shout out to a Bronx Tale. Oh, this guy owes me $20. What did Sonny say? Let it go. He's out of your life for $20. You won. Now, in the short term, but what is $20? And this person is out of your life. I don't ever have to acknowledge you. You know you stole from me. I know you stole from me. You know you did wrong. I know you did wrong. I could, escalate the situation. It could become whatever to get my $20 back in my. But what's worth more? All the time and energy that I'm going to put into that, or just you're out of my life. And I remember you stole from me, which gives me fire that I can use elsewhere. That's the win. And the more, because when I was younger, I couldn't see that. And now that I'm older, half the time I still can't see it. But you get a little bit older, you get a little bit of knowledge just because you've been through these things over and over again. And you're like, you know what? I'm glad you disrespected me, because I'm not going to forget that. That's the beautiful thing about sports. We remember. We remember when we did good. We remember when we did bad. But sports is an amazing timestamp. You can remember these things. Middle school, CYO, we remember. That's a beautiful part of sports. Sports is not everything. It's not the all in all, but okay, it does certain things extremely well. We remember. Okay? And Deshaun certainly remembers how people have and what they've said about him. But he's not handling it the correct, because if he was on his A game, quietness is kept. We wouldn't even know this is bothering him. And it's this fire that he has because of how it's gone in Cleveland and what people will say. We wouldn't know about it, but he would know, as he's up at 4:00 in the morning training, preparing. By the way, that's what Lamar did. You remember when Lamar came out for his MVP season, that first game, and lit him up 5, you know what I mean? And what did he say in the press conference? Not bad for a running back. Not bad for a wide receiver. I forget what he said. Running back, wide receiver. I forget which one he said. Right? A little bit of, you know what I mean? Got my chapstick on, but a little bit there. Yeah. He lit the Miami Dolphins up when Lamar had his MVP season. He got to that press conference. It's not bad. Y'all thought I was a wide receiver. Y'all thought I was a running back. Y'all thought I couldn't play quarterback. I haven't forgotten. Okay? All right? And I've been that's been in my craw. I've been, that was just there, right? Since the NFL draft, through training, I could not wait. I could not wait to let y'all know what the real was and how much you disrespected me and what now. That's when you drop that card. When you've proven your point, then you can speak on things. Prove your point first. That they can't say nothing. Now bring up what they said before. That was the fire to get you where you are now. Now throw that card down, Deshaun. Not to begin a season when you haven't proven anything. It's not the time for that. Where's Matt Damon in Rounders? Solid movie. Matt Damon, Edward Norton, John Turturro, John Malkovich. What? So, how it's been going with Deshaun, that's why my heart says Shador. My mind, looking at this, Cleveland has already conceded the season. They're already looking forward to 2027. We know that, and I said it, I'll continue to say that. But that is known in the organization as well. It's not even about this year. It's about what we can do next year. And a lot of you aren't even going to be here next year. You're auditioning for your next opportunity. Deshaun Watson, you are at the forefront of that list. So I don't mind them giving Deshaun the start first because he's really got 4 games. If I'm Cleveland, we can throw Deshaun out there to begin with. That can be its own television series. And the NFL is the biggest television series. But I'm going to throw Deshaun Watson. If I'm the Cleveland Browns, I'm gonna have me a Ozark season 1. I'm going to have me a Sopranos season 1, right? If I'm Cleveland, these are all the storylines and the narratives that I can throw out there while we're losing to keep people focused, interest. All right, Jerry Jones has mastered this since time immemorial. We already know that. No winning since he ran Jimmy Johnson out of town. Been 3 decades. Cowboys still the most valuable sports franchise on the face of the planet. So Jerry Jones knows this game very well. So Cleveland, Deshaun, you got 4 games. Let me see what you got. You stay in your feelings. Okay? I got to do it again. Last time. You continue this moribund conduct. Hold up. I didn't have it right. This moribund conduct. Got my sound effect right there. And you're done. We gave you the 4 games. You go out there with an attitude, with your grievances, blaming society, not taking accountability, playing subpar football. We gave you, right? We paid you. Because Cleveland, this is all free money. This is, they're winning. I don't know if they're winning. I don't know what they're doing. Frankly. I know that they're hoping for the future. I don't know if that's a strategy that's going to be worthwhile for them, but Deshaun, you go out there, 4 games. If you take it the wrong way and project blame on others, remove it from yourself, you don't look at the mirror, man, right? Man in the mirror, I'm asking him to change his ways. No, and right? Okay, Mike knew one of his hits. He knew, right? Deshaun, you look in the you go the wrong way. 4 games, okay, done. Shador, you got 13 games. You know what I mean? Give us something because we'll get rid of you. We'll keep Dylan Gabriel around just in case. So that, right? Deshaun has his. We see, we tune in. Okay, he's chips. People, a lot of people. I knew he was chips. I knew it. So that storm is just going to get ever more fierce. People piling on. Okay, you get older, you realize you go down. Nobody coming to save you. You better get your behind on up. That's what you better do. I know the society, and again, we do need to be mindful of people's sensitivities, their emotions. That's to validate those things. We need to understand about mental health. We have to understand these things. We need to be there to encourage people. Okay, that's very important. We need to, again, I'm coming from the Judeo-Christian tradition. I try to remember that. Do I remember it a lot of times? No, I don't. But one of the Catholic priests, he really spoke to me. He said, people say, I'm not going to service. I'm not going to service this Sunday. I'm not going, you're full of hypocrites. Catholic priest says, you're doggone right. and we can always use one more. You right. Because you look, hey, that's me. Right? I try, I fail. People that know me, that really know me, you know how, you know what I mean? I'm not far from perfect. But it's helpful for me to try, to strive. I've learned that lesson rather than just throwing my doggone hands up. I learned that. That's woo. Throw your hands up and say, you're far farther than you ever believed you could. You just keep on falling. Right? Things you took for granted, relationships, opportunities. You throw your hands up and again, people that don't rock with you, they want to see you broken. The people that's what did Biggie say? They praying and praying on the downfall. There are people like that's looking for the fall from grace. Then you got people that's just struggling, that you know what I mean. They just battling. I want to help you, but I got to survive myself. And then you got your people that's going to be there. Okay, very few, but most of us, we have people that's right. It's not going to be everybody. I know that we have 2 and 3 and 4,000 Facebook friends, but we know that all of them is not going to be there when we're going through our go through. We do know that. It's nice to have the 3 and 4, whatever it is, and stay connected with people. But you know what I mean? I know the social media, it's helpful for some things. It's not for others. It's a highlight reel. It can be a highlight reel. We post the good stuff, and then the other 80, 90% is just the go through. That's fine. I want to see, in fact, it's good to see the good stuff. Helpful because that gives you the fire to just keep on going. Sometimes we have to see the negativity. And other times it's good when somebody's going through something to be there to support. That's a good part of social media. Okay. And then people can but there's a lot of people that are going to support when you're going through your go through. All right. But relative to Deshaun and then just in general, yeah, it's time to put your big boy pants on. Being mindful and respectful of all that said, bottom line, real world, you got to build yourself up. You. Okay, don't be looking for this, man. You know what I mean? And again, that's where historically it's helpful. This brave new world. Everybody got the iPhone, the computer, or you know what I mean? We just this does no. These are all privileges. These are all opportunities. Make the most. You're so busy. We're so busy looking at this person, and Elon's got billions, and Jeff has got, and this person is balling. They just got a pay raise, and this person pension just kicked. We nose is always in everybody else's business. What about what you have? What about what I have? Why aren't you using that? Instead of steady crying and complaining because somebody's on a Facebook run and they doing good. Congratulate that man when they doing good. That's the time to do it, by the way, folks. Don't mind telling you. When you're down on your luck, that's the time to still encourage other people. All right? And not to have sour grapes. Don't mind telling you. And maybe Deshaun, he might tune in to SandCity. I don't know. He's got some time. He's on the bench right now. He's chilling. So he might catch this episode, hopefully, as he's going through his go through. But when you pick yourself up by your doggone self, who do you have to share that with? Who do you owe? Who are you indebted to? Who are you obligated, right? When you do something yourself, end of the day, the good part about it is, hey, it's mine. Now, that doesn't mean you can't partner with people. Shout out to the Coen brothers. Love the Coen brothers. Okay, that's it, right? Love those type of connections when it's the real deal. Two people that are together, locked in. It's awesome. But other times, hey, man, them Lolos might be a couple of your people that's really, and outside of that, it's on you. But the good part about it is, beyond worrying about, and I think me, or you know what I mean, sometimes we were, they didn't call me and they didn't. I understand it hurts. I get it. But you know what I mean? You get older, you can't expect it. You shouldn't expect it from a majority. A handful, yes. Majority, heck no. But on the other side of that, if you can build yourself up like them folks over at Nightcap have done, again, we're not player hating over here. I know Nightcap is coming on. You know what I mean? I don't know when Nightcap, because we got a game after this. So, but they're going to be on. They be doing their thing. Unc, Ocho, ISO, right? And they talk about this stuff, which is why it's a great program. Come for the sports, stay for the stories. That's Unc. Yeah. They doing their thing. But when you go through and you put yourself, you know what I mean? Not only do you have the thankfulness, goodness, you know what I mean? But now, and again, this is what it could be for Deshaun. If he goes out, imagine if the Cleveland, who the heck they playing? Imagine if the Cleveland Browns start 4-0. Imagine, right? Remember when the Colorado Buffaloes beat TCU that first game? Travis Hunter played every single snap. They got the Jags, the Bucks, the Panthers, the Steelers. It's not outside the realm of possibility. They're the underdogs. Yes, Jags are trying to make a move. Travis Hunter, Lawrence, Buccaneers, Vita Vea, Baker, Panthers, NFC South, Bryce Young fighting for his life. Steelers, Aaron Rodgers, Swan Song. They're the underdog in every single one of these games, but let Deshaun go out there and cook. And the Browns be 4-0. Still got that cough from my little upper respiratory. Let Deshaun go out there and cook. Those are the crickets that right? Don't tell me about how offended you are based on what you go out there and cook and just keep it moving. You ain't got to say nothing to Deshaun. If he gets back up on his feet, which I hope he does. We know you've been keeping receipts. I mean, we know you got every single last one. But you go out there and cook. Next thing you know, these teams are calling you because their quarterback, right? There's 30, we know there's going to be situations. Doggone it, they brought Phillip Rivers away from daddy daycare. They brought Phillip Rivers with his 8-9 kids away from daddy daycare to come play some NFL football last year. What are we talking about? You know there's going to be opportunities. Quarterback market so fierce. They love you today. 3-4 games, you got to go. They ain't messing with you. But I thought the future, you got quarterback go out there and don't ball out. They shoot. So that's the other side of it for Deshaun. That's the hopeful side of it. I hope maybe they're 2-2. Maybe they're 3-1. All these games, I mean, the Jaguars, these are all prove-it teams. Jaguars, you know what I mean? You ain't showing me nothing. Okay? Steelers, Aaron Rodgers, Mike, you ain't showing me nothing. Panthers, nothing. Buccaneers, a little bit, As this game winds down. Speaking of Deshaun, there he goes. As they get ready to go in the regular season. It's opportunity. All right, go ahead and take hold of it. You got 2, 4, 6, 8. Look at this picture. It's pretty quiet. I didn't realize that. 2, 4, 6, 8. Who do we appreciate? It's pretty cool, man. First grade photography. All right. He don't want to do it. Shador's right there. Same thing. Another great storyline, great narrative with Shador. If Deshaun, after the first 4 or 5 games, Shador, we know you got the chip on your shoulder. We know that people slept on you, allegedly, potentially, possibly in the draft, made you feel some type of a way. You're 10 toes down on who you are, how you are, doing what you do, the way that you do. Appreciate, you know what I mean? Good. But now we're going to see if you got the main thing. Shador. Yes, you. Yeah. Deshaun had his 4, 5, 6 games. He had to go. Okay. Do I want, him to be, because what we're talking about, as I get it for you on the screen, man, we're talking about that 2 men enter, 1 man leave. I heard it. Today's Thursday, man. Yeah. I've got to get my days right. My mind is This is when my man would play the jazz. He'd be playing the saxophone at the man. Summer just flew on by, did it not? Ooh. But he would be playing that Tina Turner. We don't need a. That's not. We don't need another hero. I didn't do that no justice, but I can do the, left that good job down in the city. I can do the Proud Mary. Working for the man every night and day. And I never, right? He said, okay, pumping that tang. I can do Proud Mary. I can't do that, you know what I mean? We don't need another hero. That Tina. Can't do that, Tina. Guys, point of fact is, for my awesome 80s babies out there, you remember Mad Max and Beyond Thunderdome. The original. I know there's been the original. This is my deep down childhood right now, boy. That original Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, Mel Gibson. $1985. Oh my goodness, 3 years old I was. I grew up in this, man. That Mad Max. That Tina. That 2 men enter. One man leave. Oh my goodness. Just trying to get the right picture here. And I know it's been 41 years, but I don't care. My childhood right there. Awesome 80s. That 2 men enter, 1 man leave. What? But the point of back to this, before we get ready to shift gears, take a look at the New England Patriots in this preseason matchup. The point of fact is, Deshaun Watson, you messed this opportunity up. You're going beyond Thunderdome, right? You're going out there into the wilderness. That's where your behind is going to be. Shador, you got a little bit more. Shador a little bit younger, so we're not ready to jettison. What the heck? Oh, okay. I copied something. I got to come back. Okay, that's on me. That's on me. Let me bring it over. Shador, he goes out there, has a bad run for the Browns. Nobody's talking about him being out of football. The conversation is going to be about, Shador as the backup. He's going to be in Mac Jones land. He's going to be in backup land while still being in football. Okay, the Cleveland Browns make the right decision with Deshaun. Did the Cleveland Browns make the right decision with Deshaun? Yes, they did. Okay? Because in this situation, a little sweet tooth came to my mind. You know what I mean? I thought about it. I said, man, let me get that. You can have your cake and eat it too in this situation. The Cleveland Browns, you put Deshaun out there, first part of the season, that's his series. That's his sitcom right there. People are going to tune in, good, bad, or indifferent. I hope he cooks. We'll see. If he cooks, that's a crazy storyline. If he fails, another crazy storyline. People are going to be locked into whatever. Okay, he cooks. Maybe he parachutes off to somewhere else. He has his moment. People are like, oh, I was with you from the beginning. We know that they weren't, but they're going to say that when you have success. Okay? And he goes or he fails. People just can't wait. They can't wait. A lot of folks, woo! Oh, I love you, man. My partner, baby, I'm with you. Imagine, you know what I mean? The whispers, as soon as you turn the corner, they whispering about you. Right? And if that thing happens and you don't avoid that pitfall, man, I'm so sorry for as they're laughing at you behind. Okay? So that's the first sitcom. A, run it. Next, Shador, come through. Now it's your turn. Shador sent, all right, all those crazy storylines. That's the next part of the season. Forget about the wins and losses, okay? Because they're in the March for Arch. All right, so that's a crazy storyline. We're locked in every single week. That's a win. Hopefully, Shador gets him to the end of the season. But if he crashes out, all right, nope, gone. 2-4. Dylan Gabriel, come through for the end. All right, you're supposed to be. All right, you get a little couple opportunities for your next job. Supposed to be an adult. We'll see. Maybe you're not ready for prime time. Maybe there's a reason you're a backup. You'll show us. And then we're done. We got our high draft pick. We go get Arch Manning. We're good. The three of you, you had your opportunities. You did what you did with them. Don't speak to me. I gave you a chance. You know what I mean? Right? What did my man Tracy Morgan say? Shout out to I Am the New Black. Shout out to Tracy Morgan. You can get with this or you can get with that. That's on you. That ain't on me. It's on you. Come here poking your lip out crying at me. Stop that nonsense. All right, I'm pulling for all three. Cleveland, bottom line, they made the right decision. They made the right decision starting Deshaun. They're gonna milk this thing for all it's worth. Get the ratings. Maybe get a win or two. That's not the priority. You know what I mean? And go from there. So I rock with it. I rock with it. Okay. We referenced this. We're gonna get it for you on the screen. How's everybody doing out there? Hope you're good. SandCity Sports. By for the fans. We just talked about, right? 2 men enter, 1 man leave. 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 Come on now. My Mad Max and Beyond Thunderdome, my original, my childhood right here. Come on now. It's a beautiful thing right now. Okay, what's up, Chris? Missed that comment. Let's go ahead to it. Let's as we do the 2 men enter, 1 man leave. 2 men enter. We got more good feedback from the chat. More good feedback from the chat. So let's dive into this. Okay. Let's go ahead and dive into division winners and Super Bowl predictions. Okay. By the way, was the 80s the best generation? Let's just hold on. I got to edit this. Okay. We're gonna get into Chris again, bringing the, you know what I mean? But are we saluting 80s best decade for movies? Or I'm awesome 80s on this, so that's that's a yes from me. It's a yes from your boy. But you guys out there in television land, might feel a different type of a way, and you most certainly have that opportunity. All right, so let's go ahead and do divisions. And we'll stay. We're gonna stay in El Norte, which by the way is a good movie. We're gonna stay in El Norte, the AFC North. We're gonna stay there. And let's take a look. 80s best decade for movies. Y'all out there in television, Y'all out there in television, Let me know what you're thinking. How we doing on the Twitter is good. We rocking and rolling, so all right, we ain't stopping nothing. Got some good feedback on the YouTube. So we're gonna dive into that. Appreciate, you know what I mean? We already know what time this is. What? 80s, the best decade. Okay, Chris knows what's up. Talking about Rocky, Gandhi, Goodfellas, amongst others. Yeah, come on now. Come on. Put some respect up on the 80s name. All right. So, 2 men enter, 1 man leave. We're going to come back to this as the show goes and flows and based on what we get from the good people out there. But let's go division by division. We're going to start in the AFC North. And I gotta go on this. This is a heart pick because I haven't seen it. And you might say that it's somewhat disrespectful to Lamar and what's going on in Baltimore. But this is how I feel with it. I feel about it. You guys can jump in. Let's just get... All right, the Bengals. I got the Bengals winning the AFC North. I'm going Bengals. Joe Burrow, locked in. He's had enough. If I'm Joe Burrow, I look at Drake May like, who is this kid? Everybody's still putting Mahomes above me, even though I went toe-to-toe and got him up out of there with my mink suit. And y'all forgot. Y'all mentioned my homeboy once, twice, 3 times on Wednesdays. And have forgotten who I am and what I'm about. Now, here's the key to all of this. When healthy. That's why this is a heart pick and not a head pick. I'm looking at the North. McCarthy, new sheriff. Does he know his business? Yes. He has to get acclimated. You're talking about somebody that's been there 19 years. Now you're just going to come into town. It's not going to happen overnight. And I don't view this, Aaron Rodgers, for all of, that's the old gunslinger. This young man is in his prime. By the way, shout out to, again, Nightcap. Unk had a really cool t-shirt of a day, still in my, and then Optimus Prime. By the way, speaking of, this is, Memorial Walk, Harbor Point Memorial Walk. Dear friend, I got my gear on. Harbor Point Memorial Walk. Yes, indeed. Got my gear on from yesteryear. Still Still remember, still in my heart, on my mind. Yes, sir. Now, Steelers, McCarthy, solid coach, Aaron Rodgers, old gunslinger. If I'm Joe Burrow, okay, younger, in my prime, continuity at coach, I got to get y'all up and out of there. All right, we just talked about the Browns ad infinitum. We talked about them. We talked about, the Browns are the Browns. Okay, the Browns ever looking forward, you know, better times always ahead. Okay, all right. As for now, I don't know. All right, okay. Now, okay. Here's my thing, Chris, on this, and I don't, right? You know how I feel about B More. You know what this is, okay? Chris, going with B More. Sometimes you don't know what you have until it's gone, right? No, I'm not going to sing R&B song, even though I, the very first time that I saw your right. Shout out to Shy. I ain't going there though. I ain't going to sing the R&B right now. Point of fact is, Harbaugh, I have him getting the ship in order in New York and getting them culture, you know what I mean, getting things in line. That's just me. How the Harbaughs come in, you know what I mean, khaki pants. I mean, that's John, with the khaki pants and the glasses and sleeping in the RV outside of the stadium. They just have a way of, right? Do they always win the big games? No, particularly with Jim. A lot of big games lost. But culture change, getting the ship in order reminds me of Mike Vrabel in the turnaround that he did last year with the Patriots. Okay, so that's out. That's gone. I'm not sleeping on Lamar. Okay, but pound for pound, Lamar and Joe Burrow in big games, I don't think there's a question. Much smaller sample size. Lamar, you got to take some of the hit here. Reminds me of when we had the Marcus Smart, Dante Exum debate. We, meaning Bill Simmons, had this debate. Everybody was on the boy wonder Dante Exum from Australia because he had a highlight reel. The AAUization is everything. Once we see a highlight reel, you're the number one pick in the draft. The Kwame Browns and the, you know what I mean, Eddie Curry's, because you had a highlight reel. Never mind Marcus Smart, who grinded in college day in and day out, giving you real game footage and actual real games against other grown folks. And maybe that gets discounted, but then how has it worked out in the span of time? By the way, Marcus Smart on the reuniting with MA on the Rockets is going to be a problem, but we don't know what that Kevin Durant's going to do because you never know what Kevin Durant's going to do. He could play 78 doggone games in a season and miss the entire playoffs. So we don't know. We don't know. We'll get there though. We're going to talk about David Aldridge top 10. But in terms of why I favor, and this is I'm giving, right? I'm going to use a strong word here. And you can come at me, you know what I mean? But you know what I mean? I'm not saying anything, but I'm going to use a word that has cultural implications, but there's no cultural theory that I'm applying here. Let me just say that right now. But I'm going to use a strong word. Privilege. Okay? Am I conferring on Joe Burrow some privilege? Now, why is he saying that? I'm telling you why he's saying this. Vis-a-vis Lamar Jackson in terms of this head-up competition when he just flat out hasn't been there because he hasn't been on the field to be there. When, capital W, capital H, capital E, capital N, when he's there, which is not very often, he balls out. And your boy, me, am going to put that 1/4 of the time against Lamar's full 4/4, which we know is equal to 1, right? Anytime that, we was doing fractions with the Utes last year. It was a beautiful thing. Okay. Enjoy working with the up-and-coming best and brightest. Lamar has been out there in all the battles and hasn't come out on top. So why am I leaning towards the guy that's only been out there a quarter of the time and done well against the guy that's been out there the entire time and, done average? Why am I doing that? Am I giving Joe Burrow some privilege? Is that what I'm doing? All right? Because pound for pound, right, they're both MVP candidates. In high leverage situations, Joe, in the times he's out there, has shined bright, but he hasn't been out there very much. So we could be talking about a one-hit wonder thing with Joe Burrow. We could be talking about a John Daly thing with Joe Burrow. Yeah. I said what I said. You don't know what you don't know. You just get out there, right? Because he's struck lightning in a bottle, but it's only that one time. Whereas Lamar has had failures and then more failures, keeping it 100. At first MVP season when he gets knocked out by the Titans in the divisional round, losing to Mahomes at home, a zillion penalties, and inconsistency. He's had some big losses in key moments when it was his turn. Burrow, some big wins when it wasn't his turn. Am I giving him more favor than he deserves with his inconsistency? Answer is yes. Keep it a buck. Okay. What did we learn from Bill Parcells? The big tuna? You are what your record says you are. That's who you are. Not who you want to be, but you are who your record says you are. Shout out to the big tuna, Bill Parcells. That's who you actually are. Not who social media says you are. Not who your glamour pick says that you are. Your one pick out of the 40 you took. You are what your record says you are. Joe Burrow's records say, okay, he's Johnny come lately. Joe Burrow's records say that man there, Joe Burrow's the Rolling Stone. Okay, huh? Ever he laid his hat was his home when he died. Huh? When he died, all he left us was alone. Papa wore that Rolling Stone. Ever he laid his hat was his home when he died. Shout out to Temptations. Facebook, you can't ban me. That's me. I was singing, but I was singing. That wasn't because Facebook, they ban your boy. So let me see if I'm still good. Okay, I'm still good on Facebook. Okay, that wasn't Temptation. That was me singing the Temptation. Well, I don't deserve a shadow ban for that. Joe Burrow is a Rolling Stone, man. Rolling Stone. Just like that song. When he's there, hey, good times come again. But next thing you know, that man gone. He out. Had Flacco in there last year balling 4-time. So he really doesn't deserve to be above Lamar in the division. That's why I'm putting him. But I'm assuming something that I haven't seen and nobody's seen, which is Joe Burrow be durable. First year, no. Second year, lightning, and ain't seen it since. I'm staying with my pick, realizing the frailty of said pick, and we'll see. You got two MVP level quarterbacks that are at a crossroads. Will they both shine bright, and will this be a battle between Cincy and the Ravens for the division, while the Steelers regress as they frankly should with an aging quarterback, and the Browns completely, the Steelers look like they're going to regress, and the Browns, they're ready to retreat from day one. We should is a very Remember my professor say there is no should. You either will or you won't. There is no should. My outstanding professors in college. Shout out to the WNBA. I like that offensive foul. Get him up out of there. WNBA, yes, on Amazon Prime. Love it. Let's focus on the art. Let's focus on the game. Let's keep the main thing the main thing. All right. Joe Burrow, are you going to turn the corner here? Right? Will you turn the corner and be healthy and lead this team and battle with the Ravens for the division lead and a possible spot in the Super Bowl in a conference that's wide open? Okay, the West is out of this world. Broncos want their respect. Chargers want their respect. Kansas City doggone holding on. Patriots want to prove, they're not going to go through a sophomore slump. Bills got the $2 billion stadium. When the heck are they ever going to break through? We don't know about the South. Is CJ Stroud going to get his act together? We don't know. Is Danny Dimes going to be Danny Nichols, right? But in the North, where the power has been, got two, arguably, right? And the whole Mahomes talk, you're talking Brady Manning to me when you're talking about Mahomes v. Burrow. I said what I said. I can't lift Burrow up because obviously Mahomes started off lighting the world up and then he's shifted. And I want, but I can't because he just hasn't been healthy. But what I can say is that prime Burrow is the equivalent of prime Mahomes. Prime Burrow can go touchdown for touchdown with prime Mahomes. All right. But all right. I'm picking the Bengals. Forget about, wants and, okay. What did we learn from Herm Edwards? A goal without a plan is a wish. Right? Goal without a plan is a wish. Wishing on a star. Follow where you are. Come on now. My jam's over there. I'm picking the Bengals. It's a risky pick. Some would say unfounded pick. I'm banking on Joe to do what he did in year 2 and hasn't done since, which is be healthy and lead the way. It's my pick. I want to see him do it. Obviously, but hold on here. Let me get my text back, right? Let me get my text back over here. All right, got the Bengals as the class. Chris in the chat. Okay, let's get it. Hold on, I see. And I can't argue with this, the point that's been made. But when it comes to respect on people's names, right? Chris's point, it has to be Mahomes and Allen. Because they're the ones that they're the ones that's been there. If it's in butts were candy and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas. He's a Rolling Stone. That's what he is. Okay, shout out to Temptations. I hope this year and going forward, this man can be healthy. That's what I hope. Okay, who has he been in his career? Let's get it for you on the screen, folks. I said, I hope he can be healthy. But this is who he's been. Spot on comparison. Except Bill Walton won the 77 championship with Dr. Jack Ramsey to get him his championship before the 86 run when he was in his twilight. But he drove the bus for a championship. And we remember John Wooden said the best player that he had, best player was not Lou Alcindor. It was one Mr. Bill Walton, okay? A Bill Walton who said, I'm Bill Walton. I'm not cutting my hair. He had to cut your hair to play for UCLA. He said, I'm Bill Walton. I'm not doing it. John Wooden walked right up to him. He said, Bill, we're going to miss you. He ran to the locker room and cut his hair. All right, toe down. John Wall said, listen, man, Gail Goodrich, Louis Alcindor, the list goes on and on. They walk that line. As great a player as you are, and this is almost like a Larry Bird, Bobby Knight situation. We'll talk about Bobby Knight a little bit, quick Bobby Knight point. But yeah, Bobby was Bobby, and Larry, that wasn't what Larry was responding to. So we didn't get a chance to see Larry Bird Larry Bird would have been on the 76 team. Crazy, if I'm not mistaken, because he was 77, 78, 70. No. So he would have been on the 76 team. He would have been a sophomore because he was at Indiana 75. Then he left, sat out 76, 77, 78, 79, Indiana State, if I have that correct. WNBA, them girls out there hooping. Yeah. Bill Walton, R.I.P. He had over 20 surgeries, and I think the number is actually over 30 surgeries of the course of his career. You think about it, they're playing on Converse, and sometimes that's not the preeminent factor because Kareem or Lou was playing in the same shoes and was 20 years healthy, right? So just a tremendous player. Tremendous player that could not get healthy. That's just what it is. Tremendous player that could not get healthy. I'm speaking of Bill Walton here. I'm not inferring anything about Joe Burrow, but I am saying the inconsistencies are comparable. I'm saying that quite frankly, while saying I'm picking the Cincinnati Bengals to win the AFC North, predicated on Joe Burrow being there for the Cincinnati Bengals to win the AFC North. Point taken, Chris brings up, Mahomes and Allen, they deserve the respect as far as the AFC is concerned because they've been there. And Lamar as well. Let's not leave Lamar outside. We got a trifecta. That's who deserves the respect. And Joe Burrow has been a dark horse. That's what he's been. Been a dark horse. We shall see. All right, let's go. Let's head east because we're in the East. Even though the game was not in Foxborough, I was out in the Foxborough area. I don't mind sharing with you guys. I went to a concert. My good buddy Endicott, who was a fisherman on the high seas for a number of years. He got tickets to Leonard Skinner and Foreigner. So last weekend we went out to see that show. Awesome. I rock with Skinner. I know their hits. Simple Man speaks to me, and I can get down with Sweet Home Alabama. The politics of it aren't necessarily completely in line with my view, but it's a great song, no doubt about it. Simple Man, that's just timeless. But I didn't know the whole history of Skinner. How they lost band members, kind of in the early part of because they've been going for 60 years. So how they lost band members in a plane crash and then reformed and then just kept rocking forward. Didn't know all that. I knew they had hits. I didn't know the whole history. And Foreigner was out of this world, man. The front man that they brought in, they had oh my goodness, this front man. I mean, it was awesome. Shout out to my homeboy Endicott. Thank you for those opportunity to go to the show with you. I'd never been to the Xfinity Center here in the Commonwealth in Mansfield. Never been there. Which is wild because it's not that far. It just shows what a couch potato I can be, right? I go like the Xfinity Center is the same as if you were to. It might be closer than if you were to go to a Patriots game in Foxborough. And I act like I'm crossing the doggone Atlantic Ocean to go there. I just got there. I was like, this place it's like an hour flat without traffic. I was like, why haven't I been to more shows here? I think about things, talk about things, but I don't always do things, experience things. So, got to do a better job on that. Got to get up and go instead of making 18 excuses why you can't. That's what you got to do. Shout out to Skinner. Shout out to Foreigner. Great show last weekend at the Xfinity Center. All right, let's head over. To the East, folks. Head over to the East. Going Pats. In the East. There's been off-season drama. We know this, right? Off-season drama has been there. Speaking of off-season drama, goodness gracious. 49ers owner, man. So there's drama all over the place. I think Bob Kraft's an adult. Mike Vrabel's an adult. And they will, they'll get through. WNBA player just got fouled on a 3-point shot. She goes, she looks up, she makes it. She goes, go from outrage to exaltation, in a split second. All right, back to the AFC East. Pats, stronger, strength of schedule is going to be up there. But in part, the reason that I'm going with the Pats rather than the Bills in this regard is the Bills' schedule is tougher in my mind than the Patriots' schedule. And they're both tough. They both have to battle the AFC West. But I think the Bills, they got some matchups that are more rigorous than even New England. So let's take a look at the New England side of this. Gonzalez has to get his money. Bob Kraft's no dummy. Okay? He knows he right? Yeah. Gonzalez says he has to get paid and he will get paid. Okay. Mike Vrabel's not Bill Belichick. There's not going to be this idea that we're going to get rid of them a year early rather than a year late, so we don't have to pay them, which worked as long as Tom Brady was your quarterback. Okay, that's what we learned the hard way here. People have forgotten because Mike Vrabel came through like Bumpy Johnson and done brought prosperity back to the Commonwealth. Folks forgot the 4 years of calamity after that first year after Brady, where Mac Jones got the Patriots to the doggone playoffs and Tampa Bay won the whole thing, but it seemed like things were going to stabilize. And then it was 4 disastrous years. And you can include Gerard Mayo's 1 year amongst that. All of that is in the distant past, apparently, after, last year's breakthrough season. So that said, maybe we didn't have to go through all of that hardship if, Bob Kraft had to, come in and say, listen, Bill, you're going to pay these people. That's just the bottom line. It's a hard thing to say in retrospect. It worked for a number of years, but it didn't work the moment, TB12 was not there. It absolutely, and you had folks that, buddy of mine in the fantasy league, Berto was 10 toes down on this, and I was 10 toes down on the system, and he was absolutely right, and I was absolutely wrong. System failed completely, when you didn't have Brady. Just like a chef, his restaurant's going to fail completely if he doesn't have the best ingredients. Okay, you get up at 3 o'clock in the morning like the fisherman, you get the best ingredients, then you can have the best menu. You don't have the best ingredients, you ain't going to have the best menu, period, end of story. Right? All things being equal. These top chefs, I know there's some differences, but the differences can't outweigh the product itself. Okay, you get the best fish. Another conversation. Fascinating. I was having my buddy Endicott, talking about, man, you get a 500-pound tuna, over $1 million. My buddy Endicott, fisherman on the high seas. They paying top dollar for them. They paying top dollar, baby. You out, woo! I got a couple buddies that are fishermen. They love to do it. They out there getting that good money. Tip my hat to you. Wonderful. You love to do it. You're good at it. You get out. You're in nature. You're helping the environment, and you making it rain. Again, speaking of me, I'm words, phrases, ideas. I know how to, I got to get out more. I got to turn things around the second half of the journey and get out there and be a fisherman. Be a fisherman, and at the highest level, you can be a fisher of men. That's at the heights. Got to work to get to that level. But doggone it, I didn't realize that, anybody in the car telling me. Okay, so back to the Patriots, right? And, relative, Gonzalez is getting his money, period. If this guy has to get cut, if this guy has to rework his deal, we see the wisdom. People were clowning Patrick Mahomes. I didn't believe that. Just because I rock with Mahomes. When he took that flex deal, so he's able to go back in and renegotiate his deal so the team can have the resources that it needs, right? Y'all felt some type of a way. We are going to get to the NBA. We are an hour and a half in, no end in sight. Passion Project, SandCity Sports in the building. You know what it is. We in here. We doing it. Okay? This is community. Y'all want to jump in? Y'all got. Let me go around here. Y'all come on in. You're welcome. All right. So there's no doubt in my mind, Gonzalez is going to be paid. This is going to be worked out. This is what winning organizations do. You felt some type of way about Jalen Brunson. I told you from the beginning, he's La Cosa Nova. I'm still upset about Ragu not being there for the championship run. It worked out. Ragu was good in Minnesota. Knicks got the chip. But it just, the mindset. You want to talk about Steph Curry in Golden State, loyal to the soil, 10 toes down. When times are good, when times are not so good, I'm here. Period. I'm going down with the ship. I'm happy to go down with the ship. You know what I mean? It is what, So it makes no sense. These are non-arguments. Gonzalez needs to get his money. He's going to get his money. That means, hey, you over there, you taking less money. Period. You're taking less, or you can go somewhere else. We're not gonna cut our nose off to spite our face. Common sense. Bill had his way, as I just said. We discussed, and I'll run it back. It worked when you had Tom Brady fortifying it. Just like it's working in Kansas City because you have Mahomes who undergirds the entire system because he took the contract to allow the system to flourish. Mahomes is taking less upfront, just like Jaylen Brown's taking less upfront to win a championship. That's the reward. We're just talking about it. Shout out to the Odd Couple. Doggone Law and Order. Hold on a second here. We need a sound effect on this. Where's my media at? Doggone Law and Order. Dick Wolf is still collecting money. He's going to collect money, right? That's generational right there. He created something sustainable. Same thing with Jerry Seinfeld. All these syndicated shows. It's right. It's good. You go through the effort to make it top tier. People will keep coming back to it over and over and over and over. That's what the Celtics didn't understand. Destroying, as I said again, a dynasty. By the way, David Aldridge has them 7th in the power rankings. I think that's lunacy. Maybe I don't agree with it. That's what he said. Fine. Okay, I go back to, as I said in the beginning, this all started when you got rid of Jrue Holiday. Downhill from there. You can analytic me all you want. You can financialize. You can talk whatever jargon you want to talk. It all began with Jrue. Back to the Patriots and your question about Christian Gonzalez. I don't believe they're going to be dumb enough to make that same mistake. He's needed. He gets his money. Somebody else takes less money, and we just move forward. This is what winning organizations do. I see the Patriots doing it. Now, let's take a look at their schedule and why I feel. And also, the Patriots are just better than the Bills. They're better. They're the better team. Okay? Bills, less is more. McDermott out. Right? They got to go through leadership change. Got rid of Diggs a while ago. All right, Patriots open up with the Seahawks. Steal that game. Or lose. Okay. Okay, so you're not favored against the Seahawks. They're favored against the Steelers. They're favored against the Jaguars. Bills on the road, toss-up. Favored against the Raiders, favored against the Jets. Okay, Bears on the road. We'll see. I think Caleb's going to be on it. All right, toss-up, Bears on the road. Favored against the Dolphins. Packers at home. They got to give them the edge because it's at home. Lions at home. I got to give them the edge. Even though these are two difficult games because NFC North is a monster. Yes, I believe that. Chargers on the road, underdogs. Bills at home, favorites because it's at home. Vikings at home. You see this? They have the Vikings, the NFC North, which is solid. Okay, Vikings, Packers at home. And they got to go on the road to the Bears. Vikings, Packers, Lions. So they're playing the NFC North at home. Tough games. Yes, they could get the breaks, but they got the home field advantage, which for me gives them the slight edge. On the road to KC, underdogs, Jets on the road, favorites, Broncos at home, give them the edge. Dolphins at home, favorites. All right, so that's the Patriots schedule. Let's go ahead and look at the Buffalo Bills schedule. Okay, again, same opponents, same meaning they got to play the same divisions. Yeah, we get that. All right, so they start with the Texans on the road. That's not the Seahawks on the road. So advantage Bills. They got the Lions at home. Tough matchup. Advantage Bills. Chargers at home. Toss-up. Advantage Bills. Now Patriots at home. Toss-up. I'm going to give you the advantage. So first 4 games, challenging. Texans, and people think CJ is going to bounce back. Okay, D'Amico Ryan, his system. All right. So it's not a cupcake game, but I think they're favored in that. And then you got 3 straight games at home in your $2 billion stadium against tough opponents. Okay, the home field advantage gives them the edge, but that's a tougher game against the Lions, a tough game against the Chargers, a tough game against the Patriots. And then what do you do after that? You got the Rams. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Count my right. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Their first 5 games, there's no let up. First 5 games of the Bills, they're up against it. Okay? They are up against it. Chris, after we're done going across, and then we'll do the Super Bowl, we are going to get into the NBA Power Rankings, the top 10, which is interesting to say the least. Saw some things that caught my attention. So we're going there next. Yeah. Had the Celtics in the second tier. Yeah, no. Celtics aren't better than the Heat. No. But we'll see what he thought. It wasn't rocking for me. Okay, so why the Patriots are favorite? Again, the pound for pound better. Bills have no relief. None. Zero. Texans, Lions, Chargers, Patriots, Rams. Bills' first 5 games, knockdown dragouts. Again, 3 of these are at home. Lions, Chargers, Patriots. Still, you got to go on the road to play the Rams. Battle. And the Texans are no joke. You get a game off, but it's on the road against the Raiders. That's a trap game. So there's still no relief. That Raiders game, you should pummel them, but it's on the road. It's a trap game for you. Now, you get the Ravens at home, battle. Vikings on the road, battle. Okay. Jets and Dolphins back-to-back. There's your relief. Okay. Chiefs at home, battle. Patriots on the road, you already know. Chargers on the road, you already know. Bears at home, you already know. Broncos on the road, you already know. Dolphins, and then the Jets to finish the season. The composition of the schedule for the Bills is just harder. Okay, so I think the Patriots are more talented, my view. And then they have a more favorable schedule. All right. Yes, there's been drama. There's things that are untoward and all of that stuff. But I think you're going to have adults come to the forefront, address that, and go from there. All right, folks, let me know what you think. Good, bad, or indifferent. We got all right, I'm seeing a shift here. So we're going to go with the momentum. All right, so let's play the hits here, folks. So I learned from Big Ben Maller. Shout out to the Maller Militia. All right, so we did 2 divisions. We're going to come back to the NFL talk. Unless I have any objections, we're going to slide over to the NBA Power Rankings. And then we'll come back to, as I said, I'm saying it again. All right, so we'll slide over to the NBA Power Rankings and we'll come back. I think that might be the 3rd time I said that. You know what I mean. Jelly bean. All right, how y'all doing? Y'all good? Y'all good out there in television land? Everyone, I know summer, it's flown by. It's a beautiful thing. Time flies when you're having fun. And now gearing up for the fall season, which is going to be a good season. And we're gonna be all right, right? Good. Yeah. Okay, I'm just checking people. Let me, the hour and 4, we just getting warmed up around here. You know what I mean? All right, let's move on. We're going to the NBA. We're going to the Power Rankings. Back to the NFL. We got to get the thing all good. Prep school. This is 2001. Prep school days. let's get into this. Let's get into our NBA power ranking. Shout out to David Aldridge. Okay. First and foremost, he has the New York Knicks. I can respect it. My New York Knicks, first championship in 53 years. Historic. And you know what I mean? We know that what we learned from one Mr. Ric Flair, to be the man, you must beat the man. So I can rock with the Knicks as the number one pick. I'm going to keep it 100 with you from the beginning. Knicks, champions, 53 years. Tom Thibodeau built it. Mike Brown took it over the top. The vision was completed. Respect across the board. I'm telling you guys right now, I'm picking the Philadelphia 76ers to win this championship. I have the Philadelphia 76ers winning the NBA championship. We're going to get that clear from the beginning. Come at me if you have anything. Am I disloyal? Am I going with the flavor of the month? All right, Facebook, I got booted. I went too far with my Luda. Facebook booted me. I thought they were gonna. I got you, Facebook. Next time we need a little bit less loot. You know what I mean? I'm sorry. I let it run for it, but then I switched. Facebook, I let it go for too long. Facebook wasn't happy. Okay. Okay, I got you. Maybe you know what I mean? Sometimes it's better to write an appeal so they don't. You know what I mean? It is what it is, Facebook. Your boy's going to be back. I meant to do a sound effect in there. Hold on. Take two. Your boy's going to be back. All right. Knicks, top. Be the man. Beat the man. But I'm just letting you know from the beginning, and then we're getting this list, that I have the 76ers. Now, vis-a-vis the New York Knicks, they're bringing the team back. Landry Shamet, yes. Jordan Clarkson, yes. Alvarado of BK fame, yes. We know they lost Mitchell Robinson. For some reason, the Celtics want to pay Mitchell Robinson a ton of money. I don't know why, but they did, even though they already have Kata, but it is what it is. So the Celtics want to pay Mitchell Robinson a bunch of money. Let's bring in Andre Drummond, okay, on a much more team-friendly deal to be that backup, to get in there, to muck it up, to be physical. He's from Connecticut. He loves being, he's from the tri-state area. So the Knicks are back. Everyone is returning. They've been in those moments. They've overcome those moments. I have no issue. With them being number one, even though I let you know kind of how I feel about it. You know what I mean? Let you know how I feel. Going right. So the Knicks, number one, I can rock with it. Chris, you know what I mean? We had to throw them bows out here, man. We had to do it. But I threw one too many bows, and now I got to talk to the people at Facebook because they're very, you know what I mean? I can't blame them. I can't blame them. Maybe I issued you an apology. Next time I got to be very sensitive, or like maybe mute. I don't know. Maybe can I mute it? Can I mute my mic on Facebook when I'm doing this? So I got to explore that. Seeing if I can mute myself so that I don't go up against and get the, you know what I mean? But at certain times when we, you know what I mean? Right? As we're shifting gears, we was in the NFL. Now we have to go. We got to go with the momentum. We got to go with where the momentum brings us. You got to feel it. Like you're playing music. You got to feel, okay? So we shifting gears, we coming to the NBA, and we gonna get back to the NFL. Please believe. We ain't shorting nobody. We ain't shorting nobody around here. All right. And some important questions per usual in the chat. Again, I told you Knicks at number 1. I rock with it. Now, no. LeBron knows what this is. Nick Nurse knows his business. He's a championship coach. Okay, you know who else knows his business? Masai Ujiri, who's building things up in Dallas. So watch for Kyrie to go to Miami. Masai knows his business. Everything's built around Cooper. Everybody else can go. Dusty May knows he's a solid coach. So didn't think Masai should have left Toronto. It reached his point. Part ways. He's in Dallas. He's going to build Dallas up. Nico Harrison was the fall guy. He's not the one that traded Luka in the dark of the night for Chi Beans. That wasn't on him. He took the hit. He didn't deserve to, but right. So again, relative. Excuse me, folks. This upper respo. You know, gotta let the clear the sinuses. LeBron in Philly, he knows what this is. This is championship or bust. Team is loaded. And he's here. LeBron is in Philly to get that. I mean, he understands the stakes. He put his chips in the middle. He realizes the laughing stock that he will be specifically if this doesn't work out, when the deck has been stacked in their favor, even though as we go through the league, Philly, I mean, they're going to have some stiff competition. They are pound for pound the best team. I don't think there's a doubt about that. When you look at what they have in the starting lineup and off the bench, they're the strongest, but the league is, as we would say, dumb strong. The league is dumb strong. The East is much stronger, and in the league overall, in terms of what they're going to have to go through, teams have gotten better. Philly has improved the most when you add a LeBron James and a Jaylen Brown to a team that was already there, but other teams have gotten much better. So LeBron, you know, Nick Nurse, he knows what he's doing. He knows he's offensive. He's going to put guys in position to be successful. Bob Myers certainly knows what he's doing, right? Left ESPN, back where he belongs in the front office, building a championship contender. Bob Myers knows his business. Josh Rubin, right? The White Party. Right? Everybody knows. They got guys that know how to make dollars and know how to make sense. Right? They know how to make dollars. They know how to make sense. All these guys, I think they get, there's not, acrimony. Not that there couldn't be, but with that said, and we're going to get to the Sixers in a second, I recognize this, we're looking at the Knicks. It's that, you got guys that understand when keeping it real goes wrong. Okay, LeBron and Embiid have had their problems before. They also want to gold medal on an Olympic team. And LeBron can look at Embiid and say, right, this guy's a monster. He makes my life easier. I can make his life easier, and we can both get what we want. Embiid needs a championship. We know LeBron's going to, take a hit if they don't win, but Embiid's going to take a larger hit because he hasn't won, period. And now everything is in his favor to win, so he has something to be bought in. And we know that he wants to win. He torched the Celtics when he was healthy. So, yeah, back to you. It's not about Nick Nurse. He's a good coach. He knows what he's doing. He knows when he's going to have to back up and sacrifice his way of doing things for what the team needs to do, because he's not going to need to have a firm grip. It's not the same madness that Kyrie was talking about, running Kenny Atkinson out of town, talking about we don't need a coach. It's not that type of madness. But at certain points, LeBron, Jaylen, Embiid specifically, and Maxey as well, all four of those guys know what it is. So Nick Nurse can draw up whatever the heck he wants. All four of those guys who understand the importance of what they're trying to achieve, which is win a championship, who will give each other the benefit of the doubt, particularly in year one, right? Year 2 and year 3, you start to get on people's nerves. Year 1 is when you have to go for it, when you have lightning in a bottle. Everything is fresh, everything is new. Familiarity has not come in to breed contempt like it did with the Celtics. Rondo feeling like he was feeling, rubbing Ray Allen the wrong way, right? Danny Ainge getting that wrong, backing Rondo over Ray Allen, wrong. Don't care how young Rondo was, and you know what I mean, the future. He ain't have his mental rights, and he didn't, and he never had his mental right after he left. Frankly, yeah, you got playoff Rondo with the Lakers in the bubble. That's playoff Rondo for a short stint. Was he there afterwards? No. Rondo could have won a championship, as far as I'm concerned, with New Orleans. Rondo, Drew Holiday, Etuan Moore, Anthony Davis, Boogie Cousins. You keep that together, you can win a championship. Rondo did 1 year. He didn't get what he wanted. I'm gone. All right, and that's who we're going to put our eggs in the basket rather than Ray Allen, who's older, but who's a, you know what I mean, a team guy. You rock with me, I rock with you. Can do business with. Whereas Rondo, you don't know who you're going to get day to day. Similar to Kyrie. Now Kyrie's done much better, but he did much better with Jason Kidd. Beyond that, nobody knew what they were going to get from Kyrie. Jason Kidd found the secret sauce. Only person ever to do that is Kevin Boyle, his coach at St. Pat's, who, by the way, is the coach at Montverde. Nobody else got through to Kyrie. And you can say Duke, but he wasn't at Duke for but a couple months. So back to the Sixers and Nick Nurse. He's no dummy. Tyrese Maxey, Jaylen Brown, LeBron James, Joel Embiid. They know what they need to do. Nick Nurse knows he needs to provide a structure to keep them accountable, right? So that they don't get lax. I don't see any of these guys getting lax. Embiid has to win a championship. LeBron has to win a championship. Jaylen Brown, you don't know what he can't wait to get to that championship and what he has to say to how he was mistreated in Boston. You know he wants to get there. Maxey wants to get there. Edgecombe is just young and doing, you know what I mean? Everybody is understanding what this is. So I think they're going to be locked in to get it done. And then they're just pound for pound. Never mind Anthony Simons coming off the bench, KCP coming off the bench, Philemon. They got people off the bench as well. It's not going to be a cakewalk because the league is tough, but they are the strength, all things considered. And I don't see the. By the way, LeBron is going to be, he's living in New York, taking the chopper into Philly. Right when Dr. J played for the Sixers, he lived in New York. He drove down, chopper, obviously, a couple minutes, done. And we know LeBron, with his business interests, has plenty to do in New York in terms of business, media, so on and forth. All right, Knicks, they're number 1. They're bringing back the band. They've been there. They've done it. It's going to be more challenging the second go round. I got no issue with the Knicks being 1. Okay, same thing. Spurs, 2. This is what I'm talking about with the Sixers. Okay, this Spurs team is loaded. They understand. There was a lot of people that was talking crazy about getting rid of De'Aaron Fox. Okay, watch your mouth. Ridiculous. Watch your mouth. Preposterous. Appreciate it, Chris. Yeah. Sneeze, you say God bless you. I'm back in the mix. The Spurs team was loaded last year. They made the right decision. They kept the band together. It's not about one versus the other. It's about what we can do collectively. And yes, decisions are going to have to be made. Guys will have to, and already it's not Wemby's fault that the league signed the ridiculous second apron that makes him have to take less money. But he's taking a deal that's going to allow them to keep this team together to compete for championships going forward. So that was number 1 first. Rather than we don't need De'Aaron Fox. What are you talking about? We don't need. Okay, they have their fantastic 4. The Celtics had a fantastic 4. They decided to break the team up. Now it's going downhill as far as I'm concerned. Spurs had a Fantastic Four. They're keeping the Fantastic Four. But not only that, you're talking about adding Tobias Harris. That's big. Now you got a 6-man, however to come off the bench or start him or whatever. Continue to start Champagne. Let Tobias Harris come off the bench and cook. That allows guys to rest. Okay? Right? Harrison Barnes, veteran. Kelly Olynyk, veteran. Plumlee, veteran. Bismack Biyombo, veteran. Right? They're loaded. Tobias, that's huge. Not getting, recognizing you needed De'Aaron Fox and keeping the band together, huge. And they brought in Billy Donovan as a lead assistant. So you have 2 head coaches now. You have your current head coach, Mitch Johnson, who knows his business, a Popovich guy. And you have Billy Donovan, who knocked out Greg Popovich the year the San Antonio Spurs won 67 games and were supposed to go head-to-head against Golden State. No, Billy Donovan with that upstart Golden State, Oklahoma City team that took the Golden State Warriors when they won 73 games to 7 games and were up 3-1. Billy Donovan got them right up out of there in his first year in the NBA. He can coach. And now he's on the bench to provide that leadership. So the Spurs are the class of the West, period. They were better than Golden State. They were better than Oklahoma City last year. They're better than Oklahoma City this year. So, Oklahoma City, the Spurs are just better, period. I know you got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, okay? And, of course, they got Wemby. But then after that, you got Williams. They got whoever. You want to put Castle second? So you got SGA, Chet, and Williams against Wemby, Fox, Castle, and Harper. I'm taking, right? The Spurs have a big 4. The Thunder have a big 3. Spurs are better. Yeah, and Dylan Harper, who was the best rookie last year, that might hurt somebody's narrative, but it wasn't Cooper Flagg that was the top rookie. Nor was it Con Kneppel playing for the upstart Charlotte Hornets. The best rookie last year was Dylan Harper, playing at the highest level in the highest stakes games. He was the best rookie. And he's ready to continue his growth in year 2. So I have the Spurs and the Sixers meeting in the finals. It's just for an absolute, the Sixers are better, but not much. The Sixers are better because they're more experienced. But the Spurs are loaded. And they have another year of experience, even though they're still young. Wemby's still young, okay, but he's got a battle with Embiid. Castle's still young. He's got a battle with Jaylen Brown. Fox is still young. He's got a battle against Maxey. Harper's still young. He's going to battle against his classmate in Edgecombe, right? That thing could go. They could go 7. The Spurs could who know what it's like to lose in the finals, right? They don't want to lose again, but they have to go up against a juggernaut. So, they'd be the underdog, but there's no saying that they couldn't win it. They can win it. All right. So power moves in terms of their roster. I keep coming back to this. Keeping the band together. That's the formula. You don't get rid of Clay because of, because you have Pazorski. No. It's the nucleus, Steph, Clay, Draymond, Iggy. That's not changing for anything. Spurs understood that. And they added to that with Tobias Harris. And they beefed up their bench, which the Celtics did after the collapse against Miami, when they brought in all those coaches who they didn't replace. So they beefed up the bench with Billy Donovan. I have San Antonio winning the West. All right, third, Oklahoma City. Okay, brought back iHeart, which is a notable signing. Kendrick Williams, okay. You add Adi, Mara, and Bennett, Struch, your bench mob. You get rid of Lou Dort. Kassan Wallace is going to take his spot in the starting lineup. Hopefully, Jalen Williams can be healthy. Wiggins is out of there with a trade. Isaiah Joe's out of there with a trade. Right, so you lose Dort, but Kassan Wallace can have a bigger role. Kassan steps right in. Okay. Then you lose a little bit of depth there. Adimara, solid backup. Okay, they got Jared McCain as well off the bench. So they're loaded. Culture, all that stuff. They're just not better than San Antonio. They need somebody else. They got 3. They got Chet, they got Shea, they got Chet, Shea, and Jalen. They need a 4th horse because Oklahoma City has 4, and y'all got 3. So does Kassan Wallace take a step forward? I don't know, but I'm going with that backcourt, that fierce backcourt of Harper and Fox playing together, just like Isaiah and Joe Dumars play together. It can work. It will work. They're team first guys. Then you got Castle of UConn fame, and then you got Wemby. So that's 4. Campaign out there hitting big threes. Tobias off the bench, Billy Donovan supporting strategically. So you're not the thing like Oklahoma City, they were going to out effort and outmaneuver teams. They're not doing that. They're not going to out effort. They're not going to outmaneuver. They're not going to have a stronger culture than San Antonio. And then they're going to have to get used to being the underdogs and find a way. Just like Joker, when they won the championship, he just said, "I'm better than Chet. I'm just better than you guys." And he forced that series to 7 games. We remember this when they won the championship? And the Joker just said, "I'm the best. You guys are the better team, but I'm just the best player on the court, and you're going to have to deal with me." And push that series all the way to 7, and they overcame it. But it was just the Joker was like, "I'm the best player on the court, period." So Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is going to have to try to find a way to be the best player on the court, usurping Wemby. Or they're going home again. He's going to have to will them to a victory over the Spurs, strength versus strength. Okay, they are no longer the favorites. Their window as favorites over. All right, and now Philly, who I have as the favorite. Aldridge has them in the 4 spot. I got them winning it. Okay, this is a dream team. First time you got everybody averaging, all the starters averaging 15 plus. Okay, and then the logistics of it, folks. The logistics that are in their favor. Jaylen Brown is on a revenge tour. He got something to prove every single night. Young Lion on the prowl. Tyrese Maxey, he's going for All-NBA first team. I said what I said. First team. I know you got Cade. I know you got Tyrese Maxey is ready to go. Okay, so these are the 2 straws that are stirring the drink. Both have the explosiveness. They have, MVP, Jalen this year, MVP conversation. Okay, Maxey has been there. He's been this dynamic, explosive player on middling teams. Now he's a dynamic, explosive player on a championship team with responsibility, coming from the UK tradition, under the Clutch Sports banner. So he's got the support that he needs, and it's his time now. And I think he's had, he's been on the outside. Now he's got a chance to be on an insider, and I don't think he's going to forget the difference. So Maxey and Jaylen Brown are leading the charge. You got Edgecombe, young Lion here. Again, he's young, but all of the explosiveness that these 2 has, he has that as well. Motor, IQ, maturity. So he's now supporting these 2 young Lions. Okay, now your bench comes in, and I know I haven't mentioned 2 players, and there's a reason for that. Now your bench comes in. Anthony Simons can come in and get it. KCP can come in and get it. You got your bigs are going to read. You guys are going to eat glass. So you bring your bench mob in to facilitate what these 3's leadership. Okay, and now the elephants in the room. First of all, Embiid, I don't have him playing more than 40 games. 40 max. I said what I said. Embiid don't need to focus on the regular season at all. 60 is pushing it. And if Embiid plays 60 so he can be eligible for his awards, and you want to play Embiid 60, he needs to be sitting out the second half in these games. Meaning, Philadelphia can do this. If we're going to bring our whole starting five to bear and Embiid's in the lineup, he's cooking in the first half. We ain't doing, and again, Miami, LeBron should have learned this lesson, and it's a very important lesson, folks. And it's a lesson that if you don't get it, it's going to get you beat. There ain't no my turn, your turn nonsense on this team. There needs to be a clear hierarchy. Okay? Miami Heat the first year, and it doesn't work, just by the way. Oh, we'll figure it out. We'll just go with the hot man. No, we ain't going to figure nothing out. We ain't going with no hot man. We're going to have a set hierarchy, and somebody's taking more and somebody's taking less. Period. None of this my turn, your turn, because that's going to get you beat. Because it's confusion. You don't have the decisiveness, and guys can't get in the rhythms that they need. So after the Miami had the debacle with the my turn, your turn against Dallas, who wasn't going to blink and had a culture and had a theory and wasn't going to back down. And then Miami, once it got going, they didn't have a theory. They just had my turn, your turn. And okay, so wait, and you can't get in the rhythm with my turn, your turn, because I miss. Now I got to give it over to you. Then I miss again. You know what I mean? No. Who's the straw that stirs the drink? Okay? I have Embiid playing 40 games if you want to just be 100. 40, no more. It ain't about the regular season. It's about these 28 games in May and June. That's what we need you for. We don't need you for the 82. We need you for the 28 games healthy in the lineup on both ends of the floor in May and June. That's what we need you for. If you want to play Embiid 60 games, he's not built for 60 games. He's going to break down. So then you can just take this big five, which makes them the favorite, and remove Embiid, and you're going to get beat by San Antonio. If Embiid's not healthy if this five, they need all pieces together to win it. And two of the five pieces are aged. They're aged. That's LeBron and Embiid. So the focus, and LeBron none of them is dumb. The focus is clearly the postseason. With that in mind, Embiid, I have him playing 40 games, actually playing the whole game. If you want to stretch that to 60 or 65, which is dangerous, you're putting your season in jeopardy playing Embiid more than 60 games for whatever awards you want him to win. You're putting everything in jeopardy. 40 is the number to play it safe and to get this thing done. You want to worry about postseason awards that don't mean anything at the end of the day because you already have won an MVP. You've already gotten those accolades. You know what I mean? It's about a championship. But if you want to test fate and play Embiid 60-plus games, first of all, recognize your roll in the dice. You did it to yourself. Nobody forced you to do this. To get your behinds beat because the Knicks can beat your Fantastic Four. And Miami, if they get Kyrie, can beat your Fantastic Four. All right? What makes the Sixers distinctive is they have a literal Fab Five. Shout out to the Michigan Fab Five, the Wolverines, the originals. The Sixers are Fab Five. If it goes down to the fighting Fantastic Four, if any one of these players is not there, they're no longer the favorites. They're right in the pack with the rest of the Hound. The rest of the Hounds, to be grammatically correct. They're right in the pack. The five is what makes this team special. If it's four, we'll see. I don't know. You could get it done. You could not. But I don't have them favorites if one of these guys is out against San Antonio. I don't. I think the Spurs get them. Pissed off from last year, and then they're just younger and more explosive. So you're going to have 3 explosive guys. Against San Antonio, they have 4 explosive guys. We see how that worked out for Boston. All this talk about we don't need Jrue Holiday. What happened in the fourth quarter when Maxey and Edgecombe got going? All right? I love Peyton Pritchard. He's not stopping people. He's a great six-man. That's his role. Yes, can he start? I don't think that's the appropriate role. I think Jamal Crawford is the best role for Peyton Pritchard. I'm saying again. You want to put him out there as a starter? You want to compare him to Jalen Brunson? Let him guard Jalen Brunson for an entire 48 minutes. Let him guard Tyrese Maxey for an entire 48 minutes. Let him guard Tyrese Halliburton for an entire 48 minutes. Let him guard Jalen Suggs. Let him guard Cade Cunningham for an entire 48 minutes. And we see how that goes. Never should have gotten rid of Jrue. Did it to yourself. Back to the Sixers. Embiid is the linchpin here. Okay. They can, if you have you know, Embiid is more critical to the Sixers than LeBron. He just plays a more, like they can, like LeBron forward, power forward can go on, but they have JB. Embiid makes them unique in terms of inside, outside, dominate, so on and forth. Said again, keep saying it. They need the Fab Five. If Embiid's going to play 60 plus games to go after the overall awards, you play him in the first half and you sit him in the second half. Well, what about his stats? You go to his behind in the first half. Load him up in the first half. Now, again, that is somewhat right because now, so he's playing 24 minutes, but it's condensed 24 minutes, right? Versus if he just played the whole game, he'd play for 6 or 7 minutes, then he'd sit, So he really, because he's not going to play the whole 24 first minutes. Or you play him the first 3 quarters or whatever. You sit him the entire fourth quarter, right? That might be more, opportune. But my point is, if you're going to do it that way to get him those 60 some odd games, and he's only going to play 3 quarters with his regular rest, then you have to, it makes no sense for him to be out there just getting a cardio rather than you're going to run it through him. All right. Embiid is going to, he's out here tonight. He's going to sit the fourth quarter. Frankly, I think all the team, the Sixers, you're trying to blow teams out anyways, just so LeBron and Embiid can sit the fourth quarter. Okay. Maxey and Jalen and Edgecombe, no, they don't need to sit the fourth quarter because they're in their prime. Right. And you don't want to treat players that are in their prime like players that are over the hill. It's 2 different things. Cade was going for the MVP last year. He didn't just sit in the fourth quarter. He needed to try to get 50. When LeBron's in Miami, when he should have won Defensive Player of the Year, when they gave it to Marc Gasol, even though Marc Gasol was on second team All-NBA defense, madness. Okay, when you're in your prime, you're in your prime. You can play 2 seasons. And that's what LeBron did for all those years, playing on, winning championships and playing for Team USA, then coming back and competing for championships. So the young explosive, Maxey, Jalen, Edgecombe, like they're cooking. They can play 40 minutes, and they should play 40 minutes. And they could get injured. You get injured walking across the damn street. Stop it. Kareem gave you 20 years of greatness playing. Okay? You're worried about injuries, you're going to get injured. You keep yourself in great shape. You go out there. You know your body. These guys are all in their prime. Let them cook. All right? You learn from the great runners, Carl Lewis. All right, a sprint is about speeding up and slowing down and speeding up and slowing down. You understand how the race works. You can't run. You're not going to run full speed for the whole 100 meters. You're going to accelerate. You're going to decelerate. Then you accelerate again and you decelerate. And then you accelerate again, right? You understand how that works, which they will, to be able to go out there and get it. But that's not what this whole thing hinges on. It hinges on Embiid. So again, if you're going for the doggone 60 games, I think it's risky. I don't care how you slice it. He plays the 3 quarters, and fine. If 3 quarters is different than 4, you're not going to be able to focus on one. If you have 4 real stars, Edgecombe's taking a back seat. He just is. But you got 4, and LeBron, but he needs his numbers too. So you're not going to be able to focus on him for all 3 quarters. Maybe you start the first quarter, Embiid, you can cook now, and now we gotta spread the wealth. We gotta get Maxey, right? Who's we got to get Jalen, and Embiid. If you're gonna go for the 60, he's probably not. It doesn't work for him because he's not gonna get. It does work for him if he wants to do it that way. All I'm saying is, your numbers are going to take a hit, Joel, because in a 60-game scenario, there's no way you're playing in the fourth quarter in those 60 games unless you want to get hurt for no reason. So once again, and finally, Embiid should play 40 games. No more, no less. LeBron can play 65. Okay. 65 for LeBron is good. Take those 17 games off. He's got plenty, to rest his body. He'll be plenty busy in New York conducting business. Okay, he doesn't need to be featured, right? He's a willing passer. He scores efficiently. He's going to shoot his threes. He's going to go on the block and bully people. Okay, but LeBron, he can play tight end. He can play wide receiver. He can play quarterback. He's close with Maxey. All right, so he's going to think he's more more focused on putting Maxey in position to be successful. I think he'll work well with Edgecombe, getting Edgecombe his looks when it's time for him to cook. And then, letting Jaylen Brown do his thing. Okay. Maxey and Jaylen Brown are the straws. Embiid at times will be featured. I don't think LeBron needs to be featured on this team. I think LeBron, and I think he's cool with that being. And I said, I know that, but this is different. This is different. It's different. Well, I've never been a third option in terms of what situation with the Lakers. The Lakers didn't tell LeBron they were bringing in Luka, nor did they need to, because they were gifted Luka Doncic. So obviously they're going to take that. Okay, but it wasn't on LeBron's time. This is on LeBron's time. He chose to go to Philly. So he's not taking a quote-unquote back seat to Maxey and Jaylen Brown. He's deciding to work with those guys, knowing full well those are the guys that are going to have to, going to stir the drink, which works for LeBron because that means he's going to have single coverage on the block. And in year 23, 24, whatever it is, single coverage still equates to one thing: barbecue chicken. Especially as LeBron has used his physicality, his man strength, which he came into the NBA with, which a lot of us were screaming for him to use in his earlier years, particularly 08, 09, 010, in order for us to get the LeBron Kobe finals. We were screaming for him to use the man strength and not, the 1-4, run all these 1-4 sets. Okay, later on in his career, his old man game, he's accepted that or leaned into that, and he's still a bucket. And he'll get his buckets, okay, off the single coverage matchups that is going to be necessitated by this team and be good. Okay, you're not going to be able to help off. You're not going to be able to double. Or you could double Embiid, but, and these guys aren't going to settle for threes, which lets the defense off the hook. So you double Embiid, one pass, second pass. Now we got you guys in a blender, and they're just going to be attacking the hoop. Okay, y'all don't want that charge LeBron coming at you. Maybe you do. Maybe you want that knee in your chest. Okay, good luck. Jay, you're in recovery. These guys have a line, an angle to the basket. Meet him at the rim. Good luck. LeBron's not going to try to dunk. He's going to knock you out the frame. Okay, Maxey and JB will take off on you. Edgecombe will take off on you. All right, Sixers are my favorites. Okay, but they have to, which is never easy, they got to deal with prosperity. They got to deal with their prosperity. Okay, and they got to protect the health of Embiid at all costs and LeBron at all costs. Embiid with more urgency. His health needs to be protected. All right, LeBron, he's been healthy, right? He can do 65 games. Okay, Embiid, 40. Or else you want to head with Tom Hanks into the danger zone. All right, guys, the 5th ranked team, Cavs. I rock with this. Cavs are tough. Again, I have them as a 5th ranked team. With with Sixers as a 1st ranked team, but Harden and Mitchell in the backcourt, Mobley and Allen in the front court. You bring in Cam Whitmore from Houston, okay. You got Bryant as a backup, okay. You lose Wade, okay. Right. So Kenny Atkinson knows his business. Mitchell and Harden, it's an unusual combo, but Mitchell and Garland is what I would have projected for the future, but they weren't seeing eye to eye. So Harden wants to be there. He wants to help. They're stop stuttering. They got their big four. You got the bigs eating glass, making the game challenging at the rim, and you got your guards. Although they're getting up there in the years, they're snipers from the three. They can facilitate. So, right, they have a big four. It's not an explosive big four. Right, they're going to have to outmaneuver teams. James Harden's going to have to do what he's never done before, which is play his best basketball in the playoffs. Same thing with Donovan Mitchell, who's had, he's had his times in the playoffs, but they're not the favorites. They're not better than the Knicks are better than them. All right, is it close? Yes, it's close. But they're going to have to find a way to outmaneuver the Knicks, who have been there and done that. And they're just not as good as the Sixers as well. So they're going to have to outmaneuver them. We'll see. If they lose, that doesn't mean they should break the team up, but things happen. Without the Sixers, they would be right there to battle the Knicks to go to the championship. Okay, they'd be the clear second best team in the East with a chance to go to a championship. Right, things happen. LeBron shakes up the world, and now they've been pushed down the totem pole. And so there's pressure now on Harden, who's getting towards, right, he's in the back half of his career. Mitchell, same thing. They're not young anymore. All right, and they have to now climb a pretty steep cliff to get it done. We'll see if they're up for that challenge or if they poke their lip out and make excuses. Okay, I like to believe they're up for the challenge. I like to believe they lean into the great Cavaliers teams of yesteryear. I'm talking about Mark Price. I'm talking about Craig Elo. I'm talking about Ron Harper. I'm talking about Hot Rod Williams. I'm talking about Brad Daugherty. Yeah, those teams that gave Chicago Bulls all they could handle and went down swinging. I would like for that to be this Cavs team, to go down swinging, rather than to get punched in the mouth and to turn around and start making excuses. They got people on his team, I ain't saying no names, that have made excuses before. It is what it is. They made excuses before. And they haven't played their best basketball when their best basketball has been required during the second season. They got some guys on this team like that. I ain't saying no names. I ain't saying no names. Okay? But I hope this year is different for them. And they got their work cut out for them. But they're a top 5 team in the league. No doubt. All right. The Pistons at 6, too high for them. Too high, in my view, for this team. They did it last year. You bring in John Collins. Okay, that's good. I thought this team needed Laurie. All right, Collins is good. He's been, he's a good player. Reminds me kind of a Norman Powell. He's been good and helpful on other teams. I thought this team needed Laurie. A bona fide number, a second guy to just get buckets. John Collins Laurie is just, he's better than John Collins. I don't think that's right. You might have some John Collins guys. You think, whatever. Laurie's better, as far as I'm concerned. He's better. So this team got somewhat better. Clearly, there's the issue with Jalen Duren in terms of him taking a deal that reflects his skill set rather than going for broke. Okay? We'll talk about the situation with Jonathan Kuminga when we're done doing these power rankings. Jalen Duren wants what he's not qualified to get. It is what it is. Okay? It what it is. Just get this situation straightened out. Hold this over here. So Pistons at 6. I got it a bit high. I think they have, some things to prove. They did it during the regular season. JB Bickerstaff established the culture. They out-efforted teams. I'm unsure about Duren and where, how he's going to come into this team. Reminds me a good amount of Andre Drummond when he had it rolling with this team and wanted ABC XYZ and didn't get it. And I think he's honest about that now in this phase of his career. That his mindset and his attitude didn't help him. And he's come back with a different mindset, a different attitude, and extended his career. Will Jalen Duren be able to do that within the course of a season? I'm skeptical. It looks like he's going to come into camp with an attitude and talking about what he deserves. I don't think he deserves it. His play hasn't shown me that. The consistent, okay, you averaged a double-double, 18, 20 and 10. But you're talking about, I need 25 and 14. And consistent offensive production and consistent defensive production. Right? He got up to a fast start. This team surprised some people when the going got tough and they got down to the nitty-gritty. They wore down. And they could, compete. They could out-effort, Asor Thompson, in terms of what he's bringing. But they just struggled to score the ball because Cade didn't have the help. Which, so you needed a Laurie. Right? John Collins, him going there reminds me a lot of Paul George coming to the Celtics. All right. It's a little bit of help, but you're not getting prime or what, prime John Collins is a good starter. He's not an all-star level player. Right? Laurie has made all-star teams. So I don't see a bona fide second option. I see Jalen Duren can out-effort people to get buckets during the regular season, but it's not going to be there in the playoffs. And then so you're talking about Cade, their 1-2 punch is Cade and John Collins. No. Okay, I'm taking Tatum and Derek White over that. So Pistons, they got another year. The league, and so I don't have them at 6. I got Miami ahead of them. Let's take a look here. I got Miami ahead of them. Who else? Toronto, I have ahead of them. I think they're close with Charlotte. Right? So Miami, yes, feels better. Toronto, if this Kawhi thing ever goes through, I think it's better. They're just flat out more talented. All right, Scotty Barnes, Brandon Ingram, Kawhi Leonard, quickly. I think Toronto is just better than this team. I know Miami is. I feel like Toronto is. And I think that Orlando might also just be better. Okay, Suggs, who can get it done. Suggs is he's top pick, but he's a worker. Right? And you got Paulo, who's an all-star. You got the Wagner twins. You got Desmond Bain. I just think Orlando is better than them. I think Toronto is better than them. I know Miami is better than them. So a bit high for Detroit. And it's Cade's going to have a lot on his shoulders. He's going to have to, you have to get it done. Celtics 7. Next up. Same argument. All those teams Miami better than the Celtics. Toronto better than the Celtics. Okay, you're giving me Derek White, Paul George, and Jason Tatum as your big three. Pritchard, all due respect to Pritchard. All right, okay, we'll see about Pritchard starting. Okay, but it's a big three, and you got Pritchard there now, and so you got Jason Tatum, Derek White, and Paul George is your big three for the Celtics. Okay, so not better than Bam, Giannis, Wiggins. All right, no. Bain, Bonchero, Wagner. Orlando, I think it's close. Orlando needs to step up. They ran a good coach out of town. They'll see what they do with the new coach. But if I'm Toronto and you're talking about Kawhi, Scotty, and Ingram, no. If that deal goes through, they're just better. All right. And for Peyton, he can get buckets, but he's going to have to guard quickly. He's going to have to guard those explosive, all right, straight line drive guards. He can do it, Peyton, but it's going to take away from his offense is my point. So the Celtics 7th in the league. I'm looking at the Celtics as 7th in the East. Chris noted, they're not better than the Timberwolves. I don't think they're better than the New Look Lakers. I don't. Is Tatum and Derek White better than Luka and Austin? It's close. Because I think Derek White is better than Austin Reeves. And Tatum and Luka, that's a toss-up. Okay, they're not, So this is a notable divergence. People are high on the Celtics. I am low on the Celtics. And there's no two ways about how I feel. So I'm prepared to get the Grey Poupon. I need Grey Poupon. Maybe some oregano, some onions. All right, and I'll eat crow. But I need the Grey Poupon. I need the Grey Poupon. I need some onion. I need some seasoning on that crow. Okay, but I will eat crow if this Celtics team balls out because I do not see it. I have grievances from yesteryear. I'm not going to stop talking about my grievances from yesteryear, beginning with them getting rid of Jrue Holiday. I will continue on that narrative. You can talk to me about the second apron if you want. You don't get rid of Jrue Holiday, period. When you have Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. You do not do that under any circumstances. And I love Derek White. If Derek White would have to go. If it's between Derek White and Jrue Holiday, Derek White, you have to go. I don't think you should have got rid of either one of them. You knew the second apron was coming. Jrue Holiday would have taken a team-friendly deal. I know it. I'll 10 toes down on it. Or I don't know it because you don't know what you don't know. Fine. But if you were worried about it, you shouldn't sign it to a 4-year deal. If you were talking about the second apron, you should sign to a shorter deal to keep him. So there's some poor GMing that went on. Or whoever. Somebody else would have to take less money to keep Jrue Holiday in Boston. So I've said that. Other people and the statologist and whoever felt differently, and they were the strongest voice in the room. It's in the past. Fine. Okay. Pritchard, I hope he has a breakthrough year. Goes out there, proves it. He's been waiting for this. He's got it. All right. Paul George is kind of in no man's land in his career. He's still hanging on. He had a back and forth year. He had some notable challenges that he brought himself last year. Played better in the playoffs. We'll see how he does over the course of the 82-game season. I think based on his challenges last year, he's going to have to sit out at times just to stay healthy. Mitchell Robinson's also had problems staying on the court, but he's solid, so they're going to be looking at some injuries, some resting some guys. So you're going to bring some guys off the bench. Again, I think Derek White should start at the point guard. You should start Jordan Walsh in this lineup to balance it, right? Because this lineup is going to, right, Jason Tatum can defend, but he's supposed to be grinding and getting buckets and averaging 30 some odd. So Jason Tatum's supposed to be your scorer. He's not supposed to be focusing so much on defense. Mitchell Robinson's focusing on defense, sure. Paul George's not known for defense, and he's getting up there in the years. But with this current lineup, he's going to have to get out there and defend. Derek White can defend, likes to do it, does take away from his offense, but he can do it. Peyton Pritchard's going to have to do more defending. I start Derek White. I put Jordan Walsh in the starting lineup to just give you somebody who's focused specifically on defense. Okay, your offense runs through Tatum. Paul George is the second option. Derek White's the third option. He's going to have to do facilitating, and that's how you go about it. You want to start your 4 top offensive players, and then expect all of them to, have to do the defensive stuff as if you can just turn people into Jrue Holiday overnight. Good luck. Okay, I think this is way too high for the Celtics. Celtics 7th in the East, I think, is more reasonable. Local people come at me. Anybody come at me. I'm 10 toes down on this. I've been 10 toes down on this since the descent began when Jrue left town. Okay. All right, so the Lakers in the 8th seed. All right, for the Celtics, they got Katie back. They got Jordan Walsh back. Pick up Ron Harper Jr., okay. Max Schulga. All right, George Mitchell. Mike Conley, good culture guy. Clearly, you lost JB. Okay. So the Lakers bring back Reeves. You got Kleber to shoot your threes in the corner. Okay, Nick Smith. Kessler, big pickup. Okay, the lumbering type of a big. I think Luka will work well with Kessler. I think Kessler's talented. Does he deserve all the money they gave him? I don't know, but it's a fit type of thing. Kessler will work well with Luka. He needs that big lumbering big, to keep Kleber wide open for threes in the corner. So good. Grimes, worker. Sexton, grinder. Zaire Williams, grinder. Kayvon guy. Okay. So essentially, right, you bring in Looney to replace Jackson Hayes. Thibault, who's more defense, but he replaces Rory. Kessler replaces Ayton. All right. So they got, Luka's team. We'll see if Reeves can handle. It generally doesn't happen, right? Your role players do not all of a sudden become stars. But we'll see. He's under the spotlight, under the pressure. Kessler can come in and just play Luka basketball. Okay, so this is a Luka Doncic team. He's going to be the straw, and he's got the pieces to fit his system. They're not as talented, no doubt about it. Maybe Kyrie will return to the Lakers, and but Jason Kidd's not the coach to get through to him, so I have Kyrie going to Dallas. Excuse me, he's in Dallas, going to Miami. And there we are. I think the Timberwolves are better than the Lakers, as we'll get to the T-Wolves. I just think this is they're not in the same stratosphere as the Spurs. They're not as good to me, even though they've played to the same level as Oklahoma City. I think Houston's better than them. But they find themselves in the 8th seed. Okay, and we shall see. All right, just behind them, a team I think is ahead of them. Actually, hold on. Let me hold on this take, right? Let me hold on this take because, yeah. No, I don't put the Timberwolves ahead of the Lakers. And the reason is we don't know how this team is going to gel and how they're going to, right? I'm missing. They still have DiVincenzo. DiVincenzo might start, or I think you do need DiVincenzo to start because of his consistency. Got rid of Naz Reid. Jaden Daniels will take up that slack. Rudy is still Rudy. Reason I put the Lakers ahead of the Timberwolves is because I have no idea what the heck I'm going to get from LaMelo Ball. I don't. Okay, LaMelo Ball, look, he's been inconsistent his entire career. Now you bring him here to Minnesota. You've been inconsistent, so I've never seen you be consistent. Just like I never saw Kyrie buy in until he got under Jason Kidd's leadership. Right? So he comes to the T-Wolves, new leadership. Is that going to be the person? I mean, he's had good people to get through to him. Charles Lee is a good coach. So LaMelo hasn't grown up as far as I'm concerned in terms of being a consistent pro. I don't think now going to a team where he can be with his homeboy rather than somebody who has more experience. And Anthony Edwards has more experience, but him and LaMelo are more peers, right? You're boys. So this is Anthony Edwards saying, I want to play with my boys. And we're going to run up and down. We're going to shoot a bunch of threes. We're just going to try to outscore you. And when the going gets tough, all right, LaMelo, I don't see him being there. Kuminga, I don't see him being there. DiVincenzo, yes. But they've completely revamped from going from a bigger power team. All right, you re-signed Dosunmu as your backup point guard. He balled out. Bones Highland as your bench mob. Okay, LaMelo, who is your question mark in terms of what you're going to get. You got LaMelo, huge question mark. Trey Lyles, I like a big. You lost Naz Reid. You bring in Trey Lyles, a big that can shoot it so on and forth. You also lost Julius, right? They just changed it. They went from, and okay, I can see the changes because you had Ant-Man with a bunch of bigs. And now Ant saying, no, I want to play a guard-dominated game. All right. For me, the previous iteration was better. When you had bigs that could balance your offense. Ant, you attack from the outside. Julius is going to get it on the inside. We know he can step out. We know that Naz Reid can step out, but they can also put tremendous pressure on guys on the interior. They can get paint points. They've given up their paint points, and their scoring now is all on the perimeter. I don't agree with that. But again, Ant-Man Edwards, he wants to play with his homeboy. Kevin Garnett wanted to play with his homeboy. Kevin Garnett could have had his whole career with Ray Allen in Minnesota. People want to talk about the help that Kevin Garnett didn't have in Minnesota. He had Ray Allen, they're both from South Carolina. Okay, Ray Allen spent how many years in Milwaukee? So the cold doesn't bother Ray Allen. Kevin Garnett could have had him and Ray Allen for his career in Minnesota to build it up for a championship. He wanted to play with his boy. He pushed management. I want to play with my boy. Stephon Marbury stayed one season and left. Let's think about that. All this talk about, and I know Kevin Garnett's been honest and how loyalty can hurt you when he was loyal. But from the beginning, his career could have been tied to Ray Allen's career. They would have dominated. Then you throw in whoever. Now you got two bona fide all-stars that you need a point guard. Cassell came in. The time when Kevin Garnett had Sam Cassell, his homeboy, to play the point. Still had Wally. You bring in Latrell to give you some, on the wing. They made it to the Western Conference Finals. I think Cassell was hurt, for that finals, and they didn't break through. But the 1 year he actually had pieces, they made it to the Western Conference Finals. Hindsight is 2020. I get that. But it should have been Marbury and Garnett for their career. It was Marbury and Garnett for one season. Folks, it could have been. I know because I got to watch what should. My professor, there is no should. Either you will or you won't. There is no should. Great professors that I was able to study under. We got a chance to see Garnett and Marbury for one doggone season. We could have seen Garnett and Marbury for 10 plus seasons. Right? We got Irvin and Kareem for 9 seasons. That should have been the combination. And my point with this, in terms of looking at Anthony Edwards saying we're going to play a different style of basketball, we're not going to go inside out. We're going to go off from the perimeter. I want to play with my homeboy. All right. But the reason the Marbury deal for Minnesota was doing is because you had no commitment from Marbury that he wanted to be in Minnesota. And if you talk to this man for more than 10 minutes, you could have seen he didn't want to be in Minnesota. So why do you give up Ray Allen? I can see in 10 minutes if you're feeling this. And it's not because he's not familiar with winter. He's from NYC. We know where winter is in the Northeast. It's because there's nothing in Minnesota. I'm living in the epicenter of finance, the epicenter of media, the epicenter of politics, in the most powerful nation in the history of the world. There's always something cracking in NYC. You ship me out to Minnesota? What is he, in the witness protection program? He didn't want to be there. And any somewhat intelligent person that deals with roster construction that talked to Stephon Marbury for any length of time would have known that. So how do you trade Ray Allen, future Hall of Famer, who's loyal to the soil? Ray Allen went to Milwaukee, not a peep. He had to play with Sam Cassell and Glenn Robinson and Tim Thomas. He had to share. Yes, Milwaukee was the better team than the Philadelphia 76ers in 2001. I said what I said. Milwaukee was better than Philadelphia in 2001. They were better. Sam Cassell, Ray Allen, Big Dog Robinson, Irvin Johnson, the center. I don't know if Tim Thomas was on the team at that particular point in time. Under George Karl's leadership, they were better. Okay? How did it work out for Milwaukee when Giannis forced them to trade Jrue Holiday for Dame Lillard? All right? How did it work out for Milwaukee when they threw those first-round picks in there and brought Jrue Holiday to the cheesesteak? All right, you want to completely revamp this team. All right. It's going to be outside in. We're going to spread you out and almost play like Dallas played with Jason Kidd. We're going to just, no center, Rudy, you know what I mean? Just go sit in the block or pull your man out. And we're just going to attack spread you out, attack, kick it around, shoot a bunch of threes. Okay. I'm just worried is the word I'm going to use, or concerned, because you got guys that the first sign of trouble are out. And they might be your boys, and you might enjoy joking with them on the team playing and all of those type of things. But if you're trying to win championships, all right, again, you may get the best out of LaMelo. There may be a turning around. Same thing with Kuminga. They do have adults in the building, right? DiVincenzo, who's coming back from injury, he can help them. And Bones Highland, again, is a bucket, but he's more of a scorer, right? Scorer, got to get mines type of a player. So this is, an AAU team, meaning they're talented on paper. They got a lot of guys individually who are talented, but I'm not seeing the continuity. I'm not. And I hope I do. And I hope LaMelo and Ant, they vibe together. They get the best out of each other. They push each other. All right. Ant can defend. I don't know LaMelo to be a great defender. I don't know Kuminga to be a great defender. Jaden Daniels can defend and also score. So you're going to try to, you got these three guys that are just going to get buckets, and Jaden and Rudy are going to do the dirty work. Okay. And we're just going to come at you. All right. But they got to stay on message. And you got guys that are used to going off message that are going to need to stay on message. I hope they do it. You always want to see people succeed and do well. But I'm skeptical. Okay, and the last team, the 10th team, who deserves to be 10th. Yeah, they deserve it. They meaning he being Kevin Durant, who, as far as I'm concerned, left his team in a lurch last year. Yes, I said that. Left his team in a lurch. You play 78 games and you can't play one doggone playoff game. I've never seen anything like that in my life. I don't know if anybody has. Kevin Durant played 78 doggone games and missed every single last playoff game. How do you play 78 games and miss every single doggone last playoff game? Unless, and we're not talking about a situation like Kenyon Martin, who, remember Kenyon Martin with Cincinnati, #1 overall pick, who, like the last game of the season, tore his ACL. You could say deprived Huggy of his natty. Shout out to Bob Huggins. Okay, that's not what happened. He didn't have a non-contact issue to end the season. He had a benign, I don't know if benign is the right word. He had a persistent, right? He had an ache, or he did not have a major injury to end his season. This is Kevin Durant. And it's uncertain what exactly he did have, that he couldn't play not one single playoff game against the Lakers as they get bounced. Okay, know that he, had some things to say about his teammates, was in the comments, which is the exact last thing that they brought him in. They brought him in to lead the team, not to, reprimand the team. Again, and he has the cachet to, but he doesn't lead like Michael Jordan leads. He doesn't lead from the front with fire and vitriol. That's never been his way. Okay, and leading from the front with fire and vitriol is telling you to your face that you don't, that you're not, you're playing like you have no heart. This is what Larry Bird said to the Celtics team. By the way, Larry Bird, who's out there running the stairs, first one to practice, last one to leave practice, and he's by far the best player on the team. And that's the example, leading by example, that he sets for the team. So that when he says you guys play like you had no heart, he's saying it to your face and he means it. right? And he's there every single day to verify, prove that reality. Okay, that's jumping online and sending subliminals is the exact opposite of that. Having the polar opposite effect on galvanizing said players to do better. So Kevin Durant was brought in to be the vet. He was not, he's himself. Okay, he's Scottie. Nothing wrong with Scottie Pippen. All right, Scottie Pippen is not a focal point of a team. He's a critical piece of the team, but he is not the focal point, the cultural center of the team. He is not. That's not who he is personality-wise. That's not what he was player-wise. Magic Johnson was the focal point, the leader. All right? And it's not to say you can't be a great player while not being, i.e. Tim Duncan, the cultural center of your team. You can be a great player and not be the verbal leader. You can lead by example. Okay. You lead by example. Moses Malone, another one. What did Charles Barkley say? Anytime Moses spoke, shut the heck up. Moses is speaking. Shut up. I want to hear what he has to say. Because he's a man of few words. And he said what he had to say to Charles, and it turned Charles around, and he helped Charles to get to the best years of his career. That's not Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant is a soloist, okay? He does his own thing on his own terms, off to the side. That's who he's been. It's who he's going to be. All right, so the point of fact is with this team, so MA is going to be their leader. I don't necessarily have a problem with Kevin Durant doing things, but I do have questions, concerns about not playing any playoff games after you played 78 games during the regular season for a nondescript injury. I have huge questions about that. That's some Ben Simmons stuff right there. That's Kyrie Irving with the Nets going MIA and not telling anybody anything. Steve Nash comes to your house to talk to you after you previously set something up and not even answering the doggone door. That's that type of behavior, Maris. Oh, yeah. Absolute chemistry killing foolishness. I'm talking about Kevin Durant. Okay, who is a basketball artist in terms of the game. All right. Off the court. Okay. He's insular, to say the least, which is no problem. All right, but don't be insular. Don't be to yourself, but at the same time, cast shade on others who are doing their thing. Kevin Durant. And I know I'm just a guy, a jag, but I'm talking to Kevin Durant. Because his conduct, what he projects, suggests that he's dealing with issues, which is no problem because a majority of us are dealing with issues. But a majority of us are not great players, Hall of Fame players, like Kevin Durant. So when he projects his issues out into the atmosphere, into the ether, within the team, okay, it makes waves. And this Houston Rockets team does not have a leader, a person on the team that is the go-to guy. They have a coach that leads, but it's a young group. Thompson, Smith, Shepard, their core, Sangoon, they're younger guys. All right. So Kevin Durant, if you're not going to be gracious with them, talk with them, big brother with them. Like we learned, Tony Allen talked about the Celtics. You had 3 universities. You can go to KG University, you can go to Ray Allen University, or you can go to Paul Pierce University. Pick your university. All right, KG University going to be a little bit more rough and tumble. Tony Allen said, "Hey, I'm from the Chi. I know rough and tumble. I hadn't been there." All right, you got Ray Allen University. It's going to be more cerebral. All right, he's going to the Boston Museum of Art. He's visiting MIT, visiting Harvard. It's right there in your backyard. You're in Boston. Is that how you want to get down? You want to dive into the research and development lens angle? All right, maybe not. Or you got Paul Pierce University, a little bit more cool, a little bit more laid back. All right, we're going to kick it, but when it's time to go, we got to be ready. Tony Allen said, I went to Paul Pierce University. All right, Kevin Durant, if you don't want to be the professor, if you don't want to have your school within this team to mentor guys, if you're going to be to yourself, that's fine. Tim Duncan was to himself. But Tim Duncan was, all right, guys, if he had something to say, it was a word of encouragement. All right? Or if he didn't have something to say, it was just a stern look and he kept it moving. And you got the point either way. It wasn't Twitter fingers and putting out subliminals about your teammates. You don't like a teammate. You bring that to the front office, doggone it. Or you just let it go because you're the one that decided to go to Houston in the first place, knowing they had young, mercurial, inconsistent guys. You put yourself in that situation. You didn't have to go to Houston, where they had young guys trying to find themselves. If that's bothersome to you, then show them what they are not doing by example. The example is clear. We went over this. Jalen Green, who, by the way, is cooking in Phoenix, but couldn't be found when Houston was in their battle with Golden State, ended up getting bounced. And they put him to the bench because he was inconsistent, out there running and gunning and doing the social media and the social life stuff. And he forgot to keep the main thing. Kevin Durant, Hall of Famer, player in the all-time conversation. If these players are bothering you, i.e. Larry Bird, show them what is bothering you by your example. If they're inconsistent, you're more consistent. You give guy a pass, he doesn't get it done. Don't pass him the ball! You don't need a side look. You don't need to be smacking your lips. You give an guy an opportunity, he don't come through, you're not getting another opportunity. That's how you learn. You don't have to say nothing to him. If Moses dropped it off to Charles Barkley and he don't come through with the layup or the bucket that Moses, there would be nothing said. Charles already knows he messed up, and Moses is just going to silence him. I'm not making that pass to you again. I'm not giving you another opportunity. You already done shown me you're not in good shape. You don't have a great attitude. I give you a chance. You blow the chance. You're not getting another chance. That's how we settle that. Nothing needs to be said in Twitter, social media. No words. You just continue to lead by example. And if you can't lead by example, if you're just dealing with the same things that these young people are dealing with, by the way, there's nothing wrong with that. People are constantly going through their go-through, then shut the heck up about them. You got nothing to say about somebody else if you're not consistent. Kevin Durant and anybody else. If you're going through some go-through and something's bothering you, whatever, you need to get the help that you need to get back on the right track. But that's the last thing. If I'm not, that's right. What do I say? I'm not going to service because there's too many hypocrites. What people say sometimes. You try to talk about going to church, going to service, doing some charity. A bunch of hypocrites. Okay, the appropriate response is, you're right. And we could always use one more. So this Houston Rockets team, Bogdanovich, that's a pickup. He's a bucket. Huge getting Van Fleet back. Huge. He's a guy that can be a leader, and consistent. Does that mean Reed has to go to the bench? I don't know. Like Reed, you know what I mean? I saw it last year, but I didn't really see it. Reed didn't jump out. He didn't jump off the screen for me. He had some good games, but he didn't do enough for me to say that's my starting point guard. So he can go to the bench and Van Fleet can take it over. Give you that veteran experience. So you got Van Fleet. You got, Van Fleet, Amen, Jabari, Sengun, Durant. A bigger lineup, right? So Durant is Durant and Durant's, and Jabari are more small forwards, but Durant can play closer to the up top. That's fine. Then off the bench, you got Reed, you got Bogdanovich, you got Marcus Smart. So Van Fleet being out there, I think, can alleviate some of this vacuum of and he was on the bench, but it's different than when you're playing. And it's like, I don't know. I just come back to it. This team, they should be at the top of the West. They're better than the Lakers. They're better than Minnesota. This team should be right there with San Antonio and Oklahoma City. But it just comes back to Kevin Durant. You play 78 games. I don't know why he didn't play in the playoffs. And so because I don't know why, I have huge questions. And then those questions are only expanded by, this in between the team nonsense that I didn't need to hear. All right? Nobody forced you to go there. You're there because of the chance to win a championship, and period. This Houston Rockets give you, unless you want to go to Oklahoma City, you want to go to Oklahoma City and jump on with Gilgeous-Alexander and go be my guest. Maybe that'll be better because there's no confusion. It's Shea's team. They get along. Either you get on board with what's already established as a clear-cut leader, and you either get on board or get the heck out. They won before you got there. You could help them win a championship, or you cannot. So maybe that would have, but all right, KD, the young guys, they're not your cup of tea. Keep it to yourself. You know what I mean? Lead by example. Encourage them when you can. And that's it. Okay? Shouldn't be any reference to them. You either encourage them or you ignore them. And in your ignoring them, you show what issue you have by your play. Right? Jabari Smith doesn't want to play defense, just wants to jack up threes. Okay? You improve your defensive efficiency. You pick up the slack, making it clear that in year whatever, at age 30, whatever, I'm doing my job and doing the job of this 20-something. All right? And then maybe Houston will say, you know something? We're ready to bounce. What did Atlanta say about Ricochet? Sorry, I happened. Atlanta said, we're done. You can go to Dallas. We're done. Not doing this no more. We made a mistake. You can go. But he was the number one. We made a mistake. That's how that gets handled. You don't have to say nothing to Jabari Smith. Amen Thompson, I have less doubts about. He's been consistent. He's been grinding. Carved out a niche for himself. Sengun, I have less questions about. Reed, I have less questions about. Reed, you ain't getting it done. You go head to the bench. Van Fleet starts, and you head to the bench, and you work your way, but that's it. I don't see anything that needs to be said. I don't see any side eye. So Houston, okay, could be better, or this could be similar to the Houston team with Scotty, with Charles Barkley, with Akeem. Really good. We didn't have 2K back then, so it was EA. It was NBA Live. Really good team in NBA Live, but not good on the court together. They all went their separate ways, and that was that. One more year of this Houston experience. They don't break through to at least the divisional round, which would be a success because it's going to be difficult to get to the conference finals with Oklahoma City and San Antonio. But they should at least get to the divisional round, give those teams a run, show me something. If not, Durant, it's time to go. Figure out what you're going to do with you head to your last stop. Maybe it is Oklahoma City to try to compete for a championship. And then Houston just figures out what the heck to do with all this young talent. But last year was incredibly disappointing. I'm sorry. It was. So we shall see, folks. All right, we're going to slide over to Slice of Life. To conclude this episode. And I got plenty to do. Get up tomorrow. All right. All right. So speaking of which, let's take a look at what KD's doing. Let's talk about KD and what he needs to be doing. Not surprised to see him in the gym. Working out with Chet. Getting ready for the season.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3. The patience, man. Nice. 5, 4,
7 footers.
3. 5, 4, 3, 4. 5, 4.
All right.
5,
Lives in the gym.
4, 3.
Got the love for the game.
5, 4, 3. The patience, man. Nice. 5.
Played 78 games last year.
5, 4, 3, 4.
Okay. Hope I see that in the playoffs.
Holiday twice in my career, probably the best ever. He taught me this, to be honest. Well, physical with them, you just want to beat him to that spot, make his momentum go away from the basket instead of towards it. Yeah, you're gonna be great at this. Err on the side of competing. Good. Be physical. Be square. Close the gap. Make him hit you to switch it. All right. Be more square in the reds, okay?
Doing the work.
Call something if you got it. If you want to just hoop, just hoop. Here we go. Figure it out. Finish it. Good job. Hell yeah, boy. Multiple efforts. Get him off the three-point line. Make another effort. The offense has been pretty good right now. The defense, to me, can get a little bit better. Like, we're making shots. We're making layups. Like, where's our ball pressure? Like, no one's really tagging up, and then they're just, like, walking the ball to half court. Like, pick it up, man. Every possession, relentless. It's Drew Holiday twice in my career. Probably the best ever. He taught me this, to be honest. Well, physical with them, you just want to beat him to that spot, make his momentum go away from the basket instead of towards it. Yeah, you're gonna be great at this.
All right. Your assistant coaches, right? The building blocks. People want to talk about Tom Thibodeau, Meanwhile, iHeart gets a championship as a starting center. You talk about Tibbs. Julius Randle, all-star. Never. All right, people talk about Tibbs. Okay, right? These foundational pieces, to build up your career. Reserve to starter, to key contributor, all-star to all-league, the different levels. And again, just to kind of bring, like, Kevin Durant loves this stuff. He loves the intricacies of the game. He loves the game. All right. And so it's perplexing. It's not, how he allows the personal issues, which we all have, to seep into that love and to corrode it or to dilute his, Kevin Durant just loves basketball. He loves hooping. All right. And I get it. We all go through our go-through, but, with Kevin Durant, too often his go-through comes into the professional side of it. The love of the game is diminished. And you know what I mean? Hopefully he's able to, and it's like, again, he doesn't have to necessarily be positive, high five and slap anybody's hand. Okay. But you can't be mean mugging or egging people as well. So it has to be basic, bottom line, what's up? How you doing? You good? Keep it moving. You're not having a great day. And other folks not having, but you at least give that general acknowledgement, and then you keep it moving. You deal with, you get the help to deal with, or you help yourself to deal with whatever is bothering you. And you play from a place of love, a place of creativity, a place of innovation, place of joy. And that is infectious. Hold on. All right. Didn't get the correct, right? So we're still looking at that screen. All right, let's head over to Philly.
Right. Why did we do what we did? We thought that youth, we thought that his game, his leadership, Jalen, you know him. I know you're friends with him. We needed an edge. And I think Jalen Brown sets an edge. And you need to win a championship, guys that are of that ilk, that are comfortable being uncomfortable, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes
and he is one of those. And so the deal came down, and then I didn't know Jalen at all. Not like you guys probably know him with the deal. I talked to him the day after. I just said, listen, don't ever underestimate that you're a champion and that there's power in that. So use that with this team. We don't have that on our team. This is pre-LeBron.
Right.
Okay. Different then. And I said, we need you to lead. I'm going to ask you to lead. And I don't know that he'd ever had somebody maybe say that directly to him. Like, we need you to lead.
I told him that.
You did too. Great.
Yeah, I told
Great.
him that.
Because I think players should be tasked with that more.
100%.
Because the truth is, you guys put it on the line more than anybody. So what's wrong with taking that responsibility? Take it.
Right.
Why did we do what we did? We thought that youth, we thought that his game, his leadership, Jalen, you know him. I know you're friends with him. We needed an edge. And I think Jalen Brown sets an edge. And you need to win a championship, guys that are of that ilk, that are comfortable being uncomfortable, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes
And he is one of those. And so the deal came down, and then I didn't know Jalen at all. Not like you guys probably know him with the deal. I talked to him the day after. I just said, listen, don't ever underestimate that you're a champion and that there's power in that. So use that with this team. We don't have that on our team. This is pre-LeBron.
Right.
Okay. Different then. And I said, we need you to lead. I'm going to ask you to lead. And I don't know that he'd ever had somebody maybe say that directly to him. Like, we need you to lead.
I told him that.
You did too. Great.
Yeah, I told
Great.
him that.
Because I think players should be tasked with that more.
100%.
Because the truth is, you guys put it on the line more than anybody. So what's wrong with taking that responsibility? Take it.
Right.
Why did we do?
Yep. So, want him to lead. I think he's going to be ready. All right, a couple more. Let's head over to college.
Pass is stolen by Kemba Walker. And he'll Walker right on his hip.
Look at this anticipation.
Steal by Walker.
To take charge when the team seems, young and inexperienced. And look at what he's doing early in this game.
Picks the pocket up.
Kemba.
Oh,
That was close.
Emma Walker using the old Lander screen.
That's a Kemba. That's a three.
Jumper springy tonight. These kids are getting up.
Walker splits the defense.
Conference, I think. Walker. As long as they win, it doesn't bother this guy. There's the screen you were talking about. First clean one. He's got a great shot of 11 teams. Yeah, and I didn't think I could say that at the beginning.
Knocked away by Jones. Up ahead. Lamb.
Under 5 minutes to go now. Walker.
A credible three-point shooter at 36%.
Walker. Over Van Zandt.
Catch and shoot. Shot for Jardine. Melo tried to save it, but it went to Oleander. 2-on-1. Walker.
That's what created that lay-in for Lamb.
Lamb has averaged 12 points a game on the season.
His senior season. Walker for his first
Point guard. More known for his lack of turnover.
With the ball now.
That's right, UConn.
7-1. He's averaging about 22 points. Number 2.
Pride of Rice High School in NYC. Buckets. All right, we're going to switch gears. US Open coming up. Talk more. Championships. Federer heading to the Hall of Fame. Nah. Agassi, McEnroe. Got to the US Open. Needed Pete Sampras. Federer, great champion. So we will leave it there, folks. Check out the US Open. Always talk as much tennis, but we shall. Coming up. All right, let's get ourselves organized. We got the yes, sir. We're where we need to be. I hope you guys are where you need to be. Let's go ahead and let me just check, make sure I didn't forget nothing. Did we? Hold on. It was good. We're good across the board. Means to go for launch. Hey! SandCity. Go! I'm your host, artist Andre. Hey, thank you so much. Tuning in another episode of SandCity Sports. We've been here to bring you